Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
At this time, after witnessing the arrogance of the bloodthirsty python, countless powerful beings who came had expressions of astonishment. There was fear and shock in each pair of eyes. You must know that in this era, it has only been about 6 years since the mysterious power was released from the great changes in the world. How could such a monster be born in such a short period of time? However, amidst the shock and fear, some of the most powerful beings had unparalleled minds after all, and they quickly suppressed the fear. After they all decided to go back, they would use all means to adjust their own strength and the strength of the group to the strongest. But some of them have always been hidden in the dark. Some existences that are so powerful that they are almost ridiculous. After the bloodthirsty python's combat power reached its peak, they were also extremely keen to capture the ancient and vicissitudes of life, revealed in the bloodthirsty python's demonic source. It stands to reason that such an artistic conception can only be possessed by the surviving ancestral species from other eras. Because of the power of rules, every era will be slightly different. The power of rules contained in the source of demonic nature, or the source of divinity of the current ancestral species, is exciting and unparalleled in strength. It is the perfected rule of the current era. Although there is no hindrance to the use of the power of rules, controlled by the ancestors of other eras, it will be slightly reduced. This is also the fundamental reason why the most powerful existence that has recovered has always avoided collision with the ancestors of the current generation. And now the ice sword transformed by the ice crystal goddess, the winged dragon transformed by the humanoid light and shadow of the theological alliance, and the transparent gas floating up from the inconspicuous pyramid, etc., are all very keen to feel the ancient vicissitudes and vicissitudes breath. This makes the clones they transformed into are all masterpieces of light, and they all use their senses to reach their peak again, hoping to find some clues from them. But soon the bloodthirsty python rushed directly towards the huge thundercloud, and the rolling thundercloud also boiled as if angry. For a time, various rules such as the rules of destruction, the rules of fire, the rules of death, the rules of soul, etc. were colliding in the thunderclouds above. Boom. At this time, this made the whole world shake and roar. The sky is shaking. Even the most powerful being, whose senses can defeat all senses, cannot see through the rules and energy flow that radiate vertically and horizontally. Soon, without even a moment, the world began to shatter. Instead of forming a black hole, the whole world was shattered piece by piece like cloth. Countless pitch-black voids were revealed. This is truly a blow to the sky and the earth. Such a scene made many species seem to be reliving the original catastrophe. Even the shock caused by the collision over India seemed to be more terrifying than the catastrophe. It's just that the thunder clouds soon emitted the power of rules, stabilizing the void and no longer breaking it. At the same time, he was extremely angry, and a terrifying monster with 10 heads and 10 arms appeared from the thunder clouds hundreds of miles away, and started fighting with the bloodthirsty python. The rest of the power of the thunder clouds that spilled out once again formed long dragons of thunder and fire that burned everything, and rushed towards the group of snakes below. The battle for the snake group to advance to civilization has begun. However, due to the provocation of the bloodthirsty python to the consciousness and destiny of the world, the intensity of this battle to advance to civilization exceeded what it should be. Boom. For a time, the blessed land of India was exploding everywhere, and the power of rules and terrifying energy were colliding again and again. In this collision, all the powerful beings who had suppressed their fear from the bottom of their hearts had their eyes restored to their wildness again, and they were all looking at the snakes and the bloodthirsty pythons with all their concentration. Once the bloodthirsty pythons and snakes show their decline, they will most likely be hunted by the strongest beings from various ethnic groups who are coming. It is so difficult to advance to civilization. Not only do we have to face the test of the consciousness of heaven and earth and the fate of heaven and earth, but we also face the eager gaze of the most powerful beings. It's just that none of these powerful beings would take action rashly, because if they were not careful, the consciousness of heaven and earth and destiny would probably involve them. At this time, when many powerful beings are watching with eager eyes, and when the bloodthirsty pythons and snakes are also undergoing the test of promotion to civilization, time is also passing by bit by bit. Time is so ruthless, it never changes based on anything. Even the most powerful existence with the rules of time can only stagnate and imprison a certain area at most. It is almost impossible to make time in this world truly stagnant. At this time, as time passes slowly, some evil groups and forces that also had the idea of promoting civilization, stimulated by the bloodthirsty pythons and snakes, also mobilized one after another and began to improve the strength of their respective groups. At the same time, they are also accumulating more fortune for the ethnic group and making final efforts to advance to civilization. Time flies, and days pass quietly. During the Indian snake swarm's feat of impacting civilization, the world's focus has been on the Indian snake swarm and the bloodthirsty python in the past few days. The power of the bloodthirsty python and its snakes has spread all over the world in the past few days, following the king-level spies who escaped from India through the will of heaven and earth. In the duel between will and destiny, the combat power of the bloodthirsty python has once again been ranked higher among various ethnic groups and human forces. The strongest world-destroying level. Originally, the bloodthirsty python was the only strongest world-destroying level in the world, but now it seems that its combat power is about to break through this level. Only some resurrected ancient powerful beings, such as the Ice Crystal Goddess, humanoid light and shadow, etc., know that the bloodthirsty python may have taken the first step on the road to transcendence. Even though there is still a long way to go before true transcendence, it still means being at the forefront of all ancestral species. Therefore, a few days later, the Theological Alliance directly upgraded the bloodthirsty python from the strongest world-destroying level to the quasi-transcendent level. Yes, a theological union, not a scientific union. Only the Theological Alliance, which has always claimed to be a pioneer, dares to define the level of combat power of the bloodthirsty python. This news also spread like wildfire, causing all major ethnic groups and human forces to be shocked by it. Quasi-transcendent. The bloodthirsty python once again created a new level of combat power in this era. But as for the strongest world-destroying level, there is still a gap. On the one hand, after the catastrophe, the Science Alliance did not calculate the combat power and ranking of alien beasts at all. It has been busy rebuilding and restoring human order. On the other hand, the damage to the Starlink and various radar base stations has made the detection methods available to the Science Alliance begin to become scarce. It is simply impossible to silently use satellites and various detection equipment to detect the strength of peak mutant creatures as before the catastrophe. Therefore, there may already be the most powerful world-destroying existence in this world, but they have never really made the list. After the Theological Alliance defined the levels of combat power of the bloodthirsty python, it did not say anything about the level of the strongest world-destroying level. After the bloodthirsty python's new combat power level came out from the Theological Alliance, although many forces and ethnic groups around the world were in an uproar about it, there was no large-scale internal turmoil, because after experiencing world-destroying catastrophes and many fierce bloody battles, the surviving ethnic groups and forces have a strong endurance. These ethnic groups and forces are all making their own plans for the tyrannical strength displayed by the bloodthirsty pythons and snake groups. In particular, the Theological Alliance, the human forces of Long Kingdom, and the undead cockroach tribe near the equator, which are closest to India, have all deployed heavy troops in the direction of India. The Theological Alliance, which completely captured the Ulafu land and the Turfu land, sent undead worms to the direction of India to defend, while the speedy golden eagles were sent north to keep an eye on the wolves in the northern cold zone. A group of divine servants and human armies in the Theological Alliance have also built many strong fortresses on the border. In particular, the number of battle forts in the Indian direction has reached an almost exaggerated level. More than 2 million human troops and divine servants are here, standing ready to guard against the Indian snake swarm. As for the Long Kingdom, which has a large population and all its people are soldiers, it even dispatched millions of human warriors to garrison in the direction of India. A death order was issued long ago. Once the Indian snakes break through the defensive line, they will directly use nuclear weapons to stimulate the evil mandala that has spread from the edge of the Sea of Flowers to the southern part of the Long Kingdom, drive away the wolf and devour the tiger. At that time, as long as the snakes want to take another step into the Long Kingdom, they will have to wipe out the evil mandala flower sea that has spread for more than 1,000 miles. The undead cockroach swarms that roam the countries near the equator also sent countless dense swarms of cockroaches all over the ground in the direction of India. The ability of the current undead cockroach swarm evolved not only to swallow the breath of destructive storms, but also to swallow everything. These groups of undead cockroaches underground in the direction of India are devouring microorganisms and various insects that have survived underground, including some alien species. After all, in the catastrophe of world destruction, the underground and deep sea are the least affected. After the death of the purple-blooded cockroaches in the battle, the undead cockroach swarm also gave birth to several kings again. Each of these newly promoted kings has combat prowess that is not inferior to that of a purple cockroach. Even one of them was far beyond the purple-blooded cockroach. It had devoured so much destructive aura that blood-red lines of destruction were all over its body. These dense swarms of cockroaches are waiting underground, and it seems that they are not afraid of the snakes at all. but are looking forward to the conquest of the snakes. Because they have nothing to swallow, they have long since swallowed up all the species and pure energy in the countries near the equator. They urgently need a lot of pure energy. Even if the snakes don't come to conquer them, they will probably kill the snakes out of extreme hunger. This is the terror of the undead cockroach clan. Possessing almost exaggerated vitality, they have no idea what fear and fear are. At this time, except for these three major ethnic groups, the other ethnic groups have also made a lot of preparations to prevent the snake group from completely advancing to civilization and starting to devour the whole world. As for the wolves in the southern mountains, in the past few days, many high-level wolf packs have returned from various territories, making the southern mountains lively again. But amidst the excitement, there was a hint of boredom that none of the members of the wolf pack were aware of. Only the black demon Martin, who has entered the world-destroying level of combat power, can. Only the little lone wolf, who came back from the place of adventure, and the charming fox with the evil talent can feel this dull atmosphere. At the same time, as the bloodthirsty python and the group of snakes competed increasingly fiercely with the will and destiny of heaven and earth, the three of them began to vaguely hear the whispers between heaven and earth in the past few days. With the strength of the black demon Martin, the little lone wolf and the charming fox, they could only vaguely hear these whispers, and had no idea what they meant. As for the promotion of the snake group to civilization tens of thousands of miles away, they are even unable to touch that level. Only a group of powerful beings can feel the vast thunder clouds, and the will of heaven and earth in the direction of India, from tens of thousands of miles away. At this time, in the southern mountains, not only the little lone wolf and the charming fox have returned, but basically most of the top beasts of the wolf pack have returned to the southern mountains. Even the Higurashi king and the shadow insect, who were stationed in the two blessed places in the Moon Kingdom, followed him back. Nowadays, looking at the entire southern mountain range, it can be said that the high-end exotic beasts are the most organized. And with the convergence of the fortunes of the wolf pack, the growth speed and growth limit of the various animals in the wolf pack are also subtly increasing. During this period, many strange beasts have achieved breakthroughs. Among them, Black Demon Martin has completely broken through to level 60. The spiritual soul power has reached the level of a world-destroying spiritual alien beast, but in terms of actual combat power, the Black Demon Martin is far more powerful than other world-destroying level alien beasts that have not awakened their spiritual soul power. In this way, there will inevitably be a decisive battle between ethnic groups with the Indian snakes and the bloodthirsty pythons in the future. It is so unimaginable that soul thread is deeply rooted in the sea of consciousness. Only the few wolves that were not followed by Red Tail thought of the heinous crimes they had committed in the Moon Kingdom, and that was why they still had a flash of fear in their eyes even when they were tempted by pure blood. But as long as the king beast and the wolf pack continue to compete for the throne of the real overlord of the world, even high-level world-destroying existences will be interfered with their actions. Even now, the rat tide under the white rat has multiplied to a total of more than 70 million, relying solely on some basic food supplies, decayed leaves, insects, etc. Because the soul-linking talent is the same as the red tail control talent, once it is withdrawn, it will slightly traumatize the spiritual consciousness of the bound species. White Rat's strength also broke through to level 41, and was promoted to the ultimate soul in combat power. Having broken through to that level in just 2 months, it can be seen that the gains brought by reshaping the wolf body have not been fully digested when he wakes up next time. As for the young wolves and strange beasts in the southern mountains, they were all waiting in fear or excitement. Tomorrow arrived very slowly. Except for the white demon Diao Li, it cannot be said that with the addition of luck and group talent, the power that the rat tide can display with such a small number of Shin-Chi will be extremely astonishing. So when Da Hui was just roasted with the power of his origin, the fragrant breath made all the animals in the wolf pack look in the direction of the pack's destiny stone, which naturally tempted them like 100 claws scratching their hearts. In addition, the bones with traces of secret magic under the neck of the big lone wolf are also changing subtly, waiting for sufficient accumulation of pure energy and a suitable opportunity to evolve into secret bones again. After all, this is a full eighth of the river of spiritual essence. It is not beyond the king beast's expectation to be able to lift the big lone wolf to that point. It is blood food that is inferior to the flesh and blood of the ancestral species. Even with caution, it is not enough for a Shin-Chi to obtain enough pure energy for promotion. In addition, before hunting down Shin-Chi Ronglang, he also obtained the spiritual soul power, original power and spiritual essence of the king beast's clones. Especially the Indian snakes and bloodthirsty pythons that are impacting civilization are much weaker than the wolves. That kind of smell is dozens of times greater than the fragrant smell contained in the flesh and blood of the new species. Therefore, even the members of the wolf pack who had just returned from the Mongolian region, smelling the mellow aroma, had a look of longing in their eyes. The only human beings who have not overcome their own genetic instincts for a long time, and who have weak control over their own genetic instincts, are still standing in place in confusion, especially once the mad wolf talent reaches the early stage. Such a powerful lone wolf can even stabilize the world-destroying mutated creatures. Because it is the aroma brought out by the pure energy contained outside, it does not have a fatal attraction to the wolves and other beasts. And let Dahui take it to the destiny stone of the tribe, and bake it with the power of origin. Even the flesh and blood of the king-level herbivore, which had the smallest audience among the wolves in the past, was far inferior to the mellow aroma. Regardless of whether such an action was done to show the human forces outside, or whether the wolf king was really angry, in short, such an action meant that the reward that the wolves should have received that time was likely to be reduced. Even if the wolves are in the northern cold zone, Jinfa is the well-deserved overlord, but looking at the whole world, there are still countless opponents. The members of each department together number in the tens of millions. Therefore, the White Demon Marten's current combat power is not yet at the top of the wolf pack, because they know what is waiting for them tomorrow, because the White Rat is also one of the bound beasts whose souls are closely linked to each other. Moreover, the pure white flawless and extremely holy tail of the charming fox also emits rich fluorescence, from the outside to the inside. There are tens of millions of species, and the square formation stretches hundreds of miles away. The majestic power and grace they bring have reached the highest peak in the history of the wolf pack. Its numerical attributes have also reached mid-level 55. As for Mihu, during that time she had been, they are all fighting on the front line, and their strength is growing very slowly. As for the other beasts, who want to stand alone, they still have a long way to go. The cloud mist lock can expand to more than 300 miles, trapping millions of species, and can be called a team fight killer. Even if he has tens of millions of rats under his command, his loyalty is still unquestionable. It cannot be said that such nearly 1,000 tons of pure blood food can be regarded as completely mobilizing the inner desires of all the wolf beasts. All the wolf beasts are looking forward to the real small reward tomorrow. That means that the tail bone of Mihu is transforming into a secret bone. I am afraid that within 2 or 8 days, the secret bone will be completely formed. Relying on the talent of charm and powerful mental and soul power, Mihu is also completely standing at the half-step world-destroying level of combat power. But the king beast has not lifted the restriction of soul-linking talent. As a result, the entire group of wolves that had not yet finished gathering and were waiting for the inspection were all swallowing their saliva crazily. Moreover, the time-secret technique mastered by Black Demon Marten is also unparalleled. If all those with or without growth potential were killed and used as food rations, the number of rat tides would have exceeded 100 million. Raiga's subordinates captured dozens of Surin in the half-step world-destroying step Bison King, making it impossible for the Mihu to approach the world-destroying level combat power. That made Shen Qi know that the wolf pack only needed urgent rectification to clear up all internal conflicts, and it also needed to speed up the growth of the top exotic beasts in the wolf pack. Behind the eyes are just white rats, and the tide of rats under their command. Therefore, from the moment of binding, it means that the White Demon Marten will become a servant of the king beast for the rest of its life. The rest of the wolf pack's various beasts and phalanxes are arranged in sequence above the pack's destiny stone. After all, although the gains from the southward wolf pack were huge, the losses were minimal. The weakest among the wolves is the big lone wolf. After not being seen for just 2 months, the big lone wolf that returned to the southern mountains has not yet shrunk in size again and is approaching 80 meters. In addition, the cloud mist lock talent can also compress the range. If it only confines an area with a radius of several thousand meters, the time rules it will bring will be unimaginable. Especially the rat tide under the white rat's command reproduced extremely slowly during that period of time. And among them is Duo Shinki, who has also grown up. The number of Selin in the rat tide part 1 has not yet exceeded 8 digits, and there are even 8 spiritual king-level alien rats. At this time, the white rat stood proudly in the small army of rats, and finally showed his demeanor as the king of the ethnic group, but there was no inner loyalty and awe in the eyes of the white rat looking at the wolf king. You must know that before returning, Redtail, the commander-in-chief of the southward wolf pack, had not been imprisoned by the wolf king. If it weren't for the white rats not intentionally controlling their numbers, you must know that after the transformation of the king beast, it has not lost the fighting power comparable to the gods, and has absorbed countless spiritual essences in its body. Therefore, the energy in the blood scab is not inferior to the flesh and blood of a living ancestor. So far, among the wolves, they are the only 8 strange beasts with potential, combat power, etc., which can be considered to be able to stand alone. Therefore, The body of the white deer and Kanglang was handed over to the Wolf King before returning to the southern mountains. The big lone wolf in the middle of level 55, relying on the mad wolf talent that has newly broken through to SS and the light of life of S+. His combat power has not yet reached the world-destroying level. As for the top beasts of the wolf pack, when they saw the Wolf King taking out such blood food rich in pure energy, they all knew that it would definitely be the highlight of the wolf pack meeting tomorrow. That day, the blood mist in the sky completely dissipated, and the bright sunshine once again illuminated the entire small land. In this thought, the king beast sitting on top of the clan's destiny stone also made a thought in his mind, and asked Dahui to bring the blood scab that fell from his 8th genetic transformation from the cave to the clan's destiny stone. That is also the reason why the soul link talent is too overbearing and weak. Only one soul line is needed to control the life and death of a weak and alien beast. But the bad thing is that its incredible growth potential is still there. Even if its Xingxing is damaged, it will at least grow faster. Although his character was quite depressed during that period, as he stayed in the wolf pack for longer and longer, his sense of identification with the wolf pack became weaker and weaker. That made me whose potential and qualifications were almost unbelievable, advance several levels in a row, reaching level 47. Except for the members who guard other territories, almost all the wolves gathered here. In the future, the big lone wolf may not have a golden period of growth. Hundreds of thousands of wolf pack members were all killed in the two blessed underground areas of the Mon Kingdom. Even the leading wolf, Shen Qirong, was killed by the Wolf King's clone, even if it is the blood scab and impurities that have come up from transformation, because the pure energy contained in it is so low that it is unimaginable. Once it is baked by the power of the source, an unimaginable mellow aroma immediately overflows. The blood scab from the 8th genetic transformation of the king beast weighs nearly 1,000 tons, and it contains the ultimate pure energy. It can be regarded as the worst blood reward for all the beasts in the wolf pack. The alluring mellow aroma of the ethnic group's destiny stone is also more intense. In the real plenary meeting of the wolf pack tomorrow, the king beast suddenly plans to use the bloody scab, remains from 8 genetic transformations as a reward. By then, the great lone wolf's combat power will be even weaker. All the wolves are arranged in sequence, and even the most majestic among them is not the boundless tide of rats, but the overwhelming bird clan and human beings. Under the leadership of Beiji Yanu, the bird clan has continued to multiply and expand from more than 3 million to more than 6 million. It can be said that most of the birds in the Arctic ice sheet, Siberian plain, and even the Mongolian region are here, especially after experiencing a world-ending catastrophe. The birds that finally managed to survive in the cracks all fled to the wolves when they could not obtain food. More than 6 million flying birds rose into the sky, bringing a more shocking visual effect than hundreds of thousands of technological fighter planes. Human beings have joined one after another, and the number has already soared to 8 million. With the establishment of the scientific research line, first-class meshes can already be mass-produced. Therefore, the strength of human warriors wearing meshes cannot be underestimated. Whether it is the Flying Bird Clan or the Human Clan, their individual strength and cooperative combat capabilities far exceed that of the Rat Tide, so the power of the two clans is far higher than that of the Rat Tide. The birds and humans have gradually become Selin's most reliable right-hand man among the wolves. By hunting down an extreme king-level mutant creature, in addition to gaining combat points, you will also receive fruits, branches and leaves of king-level strange plants. Even if the Wolf King didn't say anything, they never made any move. Each time you kill an elite mutant creature, you will get 10 combat points, and those are tens of millions of people from the same ethnic group, and all those ethnic groups are wild and untamed people. Therefore, it is unimaginable that the Wolf King's prestige in their hearts is so low that such a scene could occur. Hey, he is also responsible for supervising the battle situation on the battlefield. If there are mistakes in the command of the wolf pack during the war, inactivity, laziness, fear of war, etc., do you want to follow the example of the snakes and buck the trend to advance to civilization before your fortunes have just gathered? Or should we prepare a small army to conquer other areas? Next up, tens of millions of people from various ethnic groups were silent at this moment, quietly waiting for the Wolf King's instructions. The detailed criteria for obtaining military merit will also be handed over to each department of the wolf pack by Kenshu Gujin. Roar. All in all, as long as something is not beneficial to the wolves, there is no military merit. However, despite the frightened investigation by the spies, the entire Arctic wolf pack still showed no intention of killing them after the conquest, especially the King of Hell, who has always treated humans as slaves. There is absolutely no way for the human slaves, under his command, to truly be convinced as gods and fellow believers. As for the weakest world-destroying level, and quasi-transcendence level, for such existences, even with the help of luck, it would be difficult for all members of the wolf pack to hunt them down. There are various ways to obtain military achievements. Of course, it is just hunting mutant creatures, not exploring, patrolling, expanding, important information, ordinary harvests, etc. Hunt down a world-destroying mutated creature, and gain 1 million battle merit points, 10 drops of the Wolf King's essence and blood, and pure food rewarded by the Wolf King himself. By hunting down a low-level world-destroying existence, one can gain tens of millions of combat merit points, and with 80 drops of Wolf King essence and blood, one can be directly promoted to a lower-level alpha wolf. Every time you kill a king-level mutant creature, you will get 1,000 combat points. Moreover, the 2 wolf pack guards, who had disobeyed the Wolf King's orders, spread out, filled with a chilling and murderous intent. The terrifying power soaring into the sky also made the spies surrounding the southern mountains have to flee again before they dared to stop to take pictures and record. Every time you kill a monster-level mutant creature, you will get 100 combat points. The rules of reward and punishment and the internal regulations of the wolf pack at that time could be called revolutionary, and there were only 10 of them. In terms of military merit, a point system is adopted. The ferocious cat, scar-faced bear, condor, gray lynx, red wolf, wild pig, flowered fox, and mad cow formed 4 personal guard teams, each of which had 8 to 4,000 soldiers from the southern border. The elite beasts of the mountains. This caused the eyes of the wolves and other beasts, which originally lacked only excitement, to become filled with solemnity, because there are only a few existences of that level in the whole sky. Thousands of Selen King beasts' personal guards can't imagine how weak that group of alien beasts is. At this time, amid the vast mental fluctuations, the re-established rules of reward and punishment were much more complicated than before, because when the Wolf King's vast mental fluctuations ended and the new rules and regulations were issued, the 2 surrounding personal guards, headed by Big Gray and Nighthawk, who were directly under the command of the Wolf King, actually dispersed in 7 weeks. The Mecha and Beast guards under Nighthawk's command have not all reached near king-level strength. With the newly built version 2.0 Mecha, each of them does not possess Selen's King Beast. There are 100 people, and they are all kinds of people. The 2 personal guard forces together only number in the thousands, but neither one of them is strong. It cannot be said that from now on, Qin Shu Gujin will have unimaginable power over life and death without the rest of the wolf pack, and he will completely become a devil within the wolf pack, who will change his color when he hears it. The regulations and rules of rewards and punishments that can truly govern an ethnic group are the ones that can support the ethnic group's true development. The motivation to move forward is the fundamental factor that can limit the occurrence of various frictions and contradictions in the wolf pack. Immediately before the Wolf King's pair of gorgeous and huge serious wings suddenly appeared from his back, the frenzied and excited atmosphere of the wolf pack in the southern mountains instantly reached its peak. In wartime situations, each time you hunt a special mutated creature, you will get 1 battle merit point. The Wolf King standing next to him simply released a faint aura that made the surrounding space tremble. All the wolves in the pack looked up at the Wolf King at the top of the pack's destiny stone with excited and cold expressions. Waves of powerful spiritual fluctuations are also sweeping across the entire southern mountain range. Coupled with Dahui, who has not even half-stepped into the world-destroying King Beast, it is not enough to slowly kill any strange beast in the wolf pack. If there is no allocation, it is clear that there are objections, and all will be handed over to the newly established third body of the wolf pack, who will make a final decision on the allocation. Even though the distance was blurred before the photo was taken, it was still worse than being killed on the spot by the screams and terrifying power of tens of millions of alien beasts. The third department of the guard is responsible for the supervision of the entire wolf pack, preventing defections, peer friction, small-scale private fights, etc. within the wolf pack. As for the internal regulations of the wolf pack, there are more than 80 in total. Ouch! At this time, before the wings of the Sirius were revealed, the combat power of a body of nearly 1,000 meters was not yet lost. In an instant, he rose into the sky again from under the destiny stone of the tribe, standing tens of thousands of meters low in the sky, letting everyone disappear. Any member of the pack could see me worse. The wolf howl with mental fluctuations made all members of the wolf pack clearly aware of all the neighing and howling, as their frenzied and excited emotions reached their peak. Article 1 established the 8th Division of the Personal Guard, headed by D and assisted by Sable. At that time, tens of millions of species roared almost hysterically, cheering for their most inferior Wolf King. You must know that once such a small-scale wolf pack is dispatched, and the soldiers are pointed at it, looking at the entire northern cold zone, except for the Senluo group. Who can compete? Roar. In that signal, the Wolf King did not even mention the military exploits of the various wolf groups in the later period. He took the lead in announcing the new reward and punishment rules for the wolf pack, and did not even have detailed internal regulations for the group. The other ones were not the Wolf Clan guards under Big Gray, who were also wearing perfect class meshes. The tallest of the Wolf Clan guards didn't even have the low-level Su Lin, Shugu. I am afraid that even the humanoid light and shadow of the Theological Alliance, the Hell King of the Beizu Senluo tribe, the Ice Crystal male god of the mysterious iceberg, etc., will find it difficult to reach such a level in their respective tribes and forces. The two wolf pack guards, except for a few more world-destroying beasts that can really carry the flag, cannot be said to be below the level of elites, only slightly inferior to the white-blooded giant pythons among the Indian snake pack. Compared with human laws and regulations, there are still too many, but for the elementary wolf civilization, such regulations are enough. That made Nighthawk and Dahui, who were the commanders of the personal guards, look directly at him with sharp eyes. Especially the members of the wolf pack that followed Redtail southward felt a chill to their bones when they saw the two Wolf King guards, Big Gray and Nighthawk, spreading out and standing above their heads. Hunt down a half-step world-destroying mutated creature, and gain 100,000 combat points, and 8 drops of the Wolf King's essence and blood. Chirp. All the members of the wolf pack were looking up at the Wolf King standing in midair, and they were also concentrating on listening to the instructions brought out by the Wolf King's mental fluctuations. That sense of killing also made all the wolves and beasts feel the same. Today is definitely a so-called reward day that makes everyone angry. The silver hair shines even more brightly in the bright sunshine. There were only a few sporadic neighing sounds at the right time, but they never completely stopped. The screams of various beasts shook the weakest war fortress in the southern mountain range, which seemed to be trembling. Especially the top spies who have not yet learned about the end of the Indian snake pack's impact on civilization. At this time, we all know in our hearts that the wolf pack has recalled a small number of low-end king beasts in each territory. This move is also intentional for what? Today's small scene, where all the lower levels of the wolf pack were completely gathered, was probably going to leave a bloody warning and lesson. Once discovered, the 3 guards had no right to kill the prelude first. Article 7, regarding food and combat achievements. If you go out alone, or in a large group, all the prey you kill can be confiscated and surrendered to the wolf pack if necessary. However, in small-scale group combat, the prey you kill is regression, is allocated based on the effort required to kill the prey. In that mood, all the wolves and other beasts were even more attentive to listen to any sign of the Wolf King's mental fluctuations, followed by a wolf roar accompanied by vast mental fluctuations. Starting from the combat power in mid-air, it spread to the surroundings. As for the white butterfly, the charming fox, the soul wolf, and Tiffany, who are also spiritual beasts, they are also ranked in the 7 weeks of the Wolf King, supplementing the signs of the Wolf King's mental fluctuations. At this time, all members of the wolf pack stood in sequence, and all the wolf pack beasts looked at the majestic wolf shadow on the peak of the pack's destiny stone with excitement and admiration. The continuous grand gathering of more than a dozen wolf packs was also recorded in detail by spies from various ethnic groups and forces who were exploring the southern mountain range. At the same time, they all felt that the Arctic wolf pack had not yet realized that it had expanded to that point. Shocking. Article 3, Hierarchy. The promotion system was reshuffled, and all the former B-Wolf and Advanced B-Wolf were cancelled and replaced by Class B. Because the Wolf Pack is no longer the Wolf Pack that only had the Wolf Clan in the past, therefore, it is no longer appropriate to replace the management team with the largest base, with Yilang and high-level Yilang. As for the Alpha Wolf, it has not been cancelled. On the one hand, there are only a small number of Alpha Wolves, and they belong to the real high level of the Wolf Pack. On the other hand, when Su Lin asked Bai Dai to investigate the opinions of these alpha wolves, he met with strong opposition from Little Lone Wolf, Steppenwolf King, Little Gray, One-Eyed Wolf, Fox Wolf, Wolf Father and Wolf Mother, Cousin, and Gray and White Little Wolf. Even Sander, Vincent, Tiffany, etc. from the Humanity Department did not recommend changing the code name of the Alpha Wolf. Because of the status of the Alpha Wolf, he plays an important role in the Wolf Pack. Giving the Alpha Wolf a codename allows the mutated creature that obtains the Alpha Wolf to know clearly that all this glory is given by the Wolf King and the Wolf Pack. Therefore, the codename of the enemy wolf was not changed in the end. Before the new reward and punishment rules and internal regulations were fully announced, the eyes of all the beasts in the entire Wolf Pack were filled with shock. But there are some strange beasts that have not yet gathered into a large group among the various tribes of the wolf pack. Although there is still no belief and awe in the Wolf King in their eyes, they have no regard for those new rules and internal regulations. In eyes. Article 8, Wolf Pack Punishment Regulations. With 1,000 points of combat merit, you will be promoted to the upper level C. With 3,000 points of combat merit, you will be promoted to the middle level C. With all the points of combat merit, you will be promoted to the lower level C. Once successfully challenged 8 times, it can be replaced. Level C can choose between 1 and 8 mates. Level B can choose between 7 and 8 mates. The Alpha Wolf can choose 4. The lower Alpha Wolf can choose 10. And the Wolf King sequence can have 70 mates. Select mental alien beasts and new humans with low IQs to join the scientific research line of the human race. In addition, a small number of scientific research lines will be expanded in the future. Use the top technologies that are currently leaked from the lower levels to quickly create suitable products. The technological weapons of the Wolf Pack. In particular, it is strictly forbidden to build up the mountain internally, because it will only cause friction at the group level, and it will have minimal impact on the stable rule of the Wolf Pack. Lower level D, middle level D, upper level D, lower level C. Upper level B, Alpha Wolf, High Alpha Wolf, Wolf King sequence, Wolf King. But that is also the slightest thing among the wolves. In order to avoid further friction and conflicts among various departments, the Wolf Pack formulated detailed internal disciplinary regulations. The lowest command of a member of the Fox clan, following closely behind were Red Tails, who was a wolf front, and a low-level Alpha Wolf, and was escorted over by several ultimate armors from the human division. So it must be killed. It's just that those weak ones are now wearing huge iron chains made of carbon blocks, and they still don't have the spiritual mark left by the Wolf King. That point is also incorporated into the war merit system, along with the intimidation of thousands of king-level bodyguards under Dahui and Nighthawk. They were also able to instantly kill members below the rank of Bai Yilang. Article 4. Creation and Scientific Research. Article 10, Expeditions on the Rear Lines and Battle Losses. Who is Red Tail? Even the alien beasts before Red Tail, who were chained by carbon blocks, were once the weaklings of the Aoxiao side of the wolf pack, and none of them were even the 8-headed king beasts. As for promotion to a low-level Alpha Wolf, in addition to requiring tens of millions of merit points, it also requires the approval of the members of the core. Even if there is only one spiritual imprint, it is not enough to suppress a half-destroying existence. You know, this is a Red Tail. With 10 points of combat merit, one can be promoted to the upper level D. With 50 points of combat merit, one can be promoted to the middle level D, and with 300 points of combat merit, one can be promoted to the lower level D for a time. Since retreating to the southern mountain range, they have only built a small unity with Insulin, and together with other tribes and beasts, they have divided up the basic blood and food supply of the members under their command. But now, the goal that we worked so hard for has become the prisoner of the wolves. You must know that the pattern between heaven and earth has not become more and more obvious. Some large ethnic groups and blessed lands have been annexed, not directly exterminated. In the next 8 days, the White Demon Marten will sit at the Wolf Review site to evaluate the level. Su Lin's powerful snow bear, Nighthawk's flying leopard, and more. It is forbidden to form large groups to retreat and cause friction. Members of the wolf pack, except for their promotion status through military exploits, cannot be exchanged for various kinds of pure blood food, items, or even war servants and spouses, nor can they ask the Alpha Wolf or the Wolf King to treat their injuries. After all, without wisdom, we are all nothing but vegetation. How can we have feelings? Immediately afterwards, when Xiong, who received the signal, also used his mental and soul power to declare to the members of the wolf pack, who had not calmed down the crimes that those strange beasts had committed. With 1 million points of combat merit, one can be promoted to the Alpha Wolf. As for the rest of the hierarchy, in addition to changing the title of Yilang, 2 new systems, namely C level and D level, were also added, and each level was further divided into lower, middle and upper ranks. Forming cliques, obeying government orders, claiming dominance, suppressing other members, seizing military exploits, and breaking restrictions on mating rights. The friction and competition between them makes the wolves rarely obey orders, and they even dare to show their fangs and claws in front of their backs on the battlefield. If the lower level B and the Alpha Wolf are present, they can directly retreat and exchange. Many strange beasts also thought of the situation just now, and their hearts suddenly felt cold to an unimaginable degree. With full points of military merit, one is promoted to the upper level B. With full points of combat merit, one is promoted to the middle level B. With full points of combat merit, one is promoted to the lower level B. The backline expedition is mainly based on strategic goals. There are no specific rules for the backline's military achievements, but there are also no rules for the punishment of battle damage. For each successful challenge, you will gain 10% of the opponent's combat merit points. And Wells, who served as the first Special Forces captain in humanity, but they all raised their heads and looked calmly at the majestic figure in the sky. Their eyes were filled with prayers for reconciliation, knowing what changes had happened to the wolves. The one with the most important status is the Ice Bear, who has not yet retreated into the rank of Alpha Wolf. But now, no one thought it would reach that point. The wolves that have experienced the brutal growth have resulted in the various large teams within the wolf pack ranging from thousands to hundreds. What does it mean to be above one wolf and below 10,000 wolves? Even Red Tail, the weakest among them, had no intention of struggling at all and allowed himself to be escorted over by the mecha warriors in front of him. From time to time, he would rely on his prestige in the Solin division to obey the Bear Clan's orders. Killing is enough to frighten the rest of the careless members. Killing is enough to comfort those of the same race who were killed by ice bears, and killing is enough to correct the ethos of the entire wolf pack. Zenin howled at the Wolf King in mid-air, trying to make the Wolf King give Ice Bear another chance in view of the Ice Bear's hard work. But now, Red Tail, who once commanded the entire wolf pack and led all members of the wolf pack to slaughter the entire Man kingdom alive, is now in such a situation. For a time, tens of millions of wolves were in an uproar, and the entire southern mountain range was in turmoil, especially these various beasts of the wolf pack, who had not taken the punishment orders too seriously just now. When they saw that scene, they suddenly felt their heartbeats speed up for the first time in history. Article 7, Exchange of Wolves Military Exploits. D wants to see some borers like them bring the entire wolf pack into disastrous defeat in the future. The exchange of combat merits requires at least one Class B and two Class C players to be present together, so that they cannot retreat, especially the leaders of the large team, who also felt that small things are good in their hearts, also wanted to take advantage of the chaos and rush out of the wolf pack, but soon they were followed by the roar of meshes and divine energy gathering rays. If you are weak, you are the king, because they had already known from the Wolf King's regulations just now that the Wolf King wanted to implement the new rules among the wolves at the slowest speed, because no matter what species, even if you were promoted to become a strange beast, in the end, the most fundamental pursuit is food, strength, status, mating and reproduction. Wayzander, Arctic Yanu, Nighthawk, etc. When they saw the alien beasts under their command being escorted under the low platform of the clan's destiny stone by carbon blockchains and spiritual imprints, although there was no tolerance in their eyes, but all of them were pressed up. For a moment, before those alien beasts were escorted over, the tens of millions of members of the entire wolf pack were in fear and confusion. Cold murderous intention. When the bear tribe saw the ice bear, who had always been its right-hand man, being brought down, it had long lost its IQ, and at that moment it understood something. As when Zeong's soul power resounded throughout the southern mountains, the panic in the eyes of the members of the wolf pack quickly dissipated before they felt the message conveyed in the soul power. This is even more true in such a white and dark doomsday era. At the same time, they are all trying to digest the contents of those regulations, patrolling the territory and ensuring that the prey, aquatic plants, exotic flowers and other places in the territory grow slowly are what the wolf pack's garrison forces in each territory need to pay attention to. Each of those animals cannot be said to have been a once famous presence in the wolf pack, but they have also made great contributions to the wolf pack. Red Tail is the most distinctive representative. In this case, it is inevitable to find a few heavyweight members to serve as negative teaching materials in front of the wolves of the entire pack. So for some members, killing them is not enough to deter them. In addition, in order to continue to expand and enhance the desire of the wolf pack members to climb, move the mating rights to the upper sea level, the wolf pack still follows the tradition of respecting the weak, which prohibits internal challenges, but can only challenge subordinates of the same group, and cross-group challenges are allowed. It seems that Ice Bear really thinks that he cannot rely on his past friendship and his seniority to do whatever he wants in the wolf pack. But at this moment, when they were thinking like that, what everyone expected was that there was suddenly another wolf howl coming from mid-air. Even in the bloody battles on the plains of Siberia, it was always timid and allowed its subordinates Solin to die one after another, but it still took advantage of its subordinates' military exploits and pure blood food. On top of those 10 items, it cannot be said that the entire wolf pack will usher in a new era. Are there any regulations to restrict the weak? The future is bound to be a battlefield between peak forces and monster groups. If there are still a lot of problems within the wolf pack, How can they compete head-on with other monster groups? There is no challenge opportunity every month. All the tribes of the wolf pack all adopt the merit promotion system because for them, their cognition and consciousness have always been stuck in the age of bloody beasts. He even passed on a spiritual soul line that was only connected to the Wolf King, hoping that the Wolf King would exempt Hong Wei from the reward in view of Hong Wei and his future military exploits. Article 4, Inspection and Production System. There are dozens of prohibitions, such as prohibiting the wolves from defecting, prohibiting the wolves from taking away the remaining members without merit in battle, etc. Not to mention the extremely weak alien bird white pigeon under the command of Arctic Yanu, and the red fox, whose personality and mental talent are the most like the red tail among the fox tribe. And it's just a charming fox. Members, who were originally high-level B wolves, will all be classified into the upper-level B class, while members of the special B wolf group will be classified into the mid-level B class. At the same time, following you are a group of weaklings who are definitely familiar among the members of each department. Boom. Before the soldiers and horses are moved, food and grass go first. No matter whether the wolves go out for expedition or recuperate in the future, they will need enough pure food. Therefore, the new hierarchy in the wolf pack is divided into 13 levels. It is still forbidden to snatch food and other behaviors among wolves. The weak deserve to be full, and the strong deserve scraps. Very early after that point, Nighthawk reported to White Butterfly. Even when it was stationed in the southern mountains, it was the first one to turn around and flee when faced with the incoming fast golden eagle. Just like that time when the southbound wolves killed hundreds of thousands in the battle, and also directly slaughtered 2 to 8 million Hmong humans. That was a very small mistake. Therefore, Zenon missed the old relationship and never had any quarrels with the ice bear. He even still retained his position as deputy commander of Su Lin, and promoted him to the rank of Alpha Wolf. Those who have had no military exploits in the past will be re-evaluated based on their past military exploits and combat prowess. Even the bear tribe regarded the ice bear as an object of effort and transcendence at that time. It's just because the ice bear followed me from the place of adventure. When fighting with the killer whales in the deep sea, the ice bear also contributed strength and shed blood. It has had an extremely bad influence on Su Lin and even other ministries. This is necessary if you kill a low-level world-destroying existence. Coupled with their powerful generals, they often go too far. As for the ice bear, it was even more extreme. Since Su Lin's leadership position was previously occupied by Daboi and Zenon, it was fully expected to break all the rules of the wolf pack before Su Lin took command. After comparison, such luxurious mating rights made all the other animals in the wolf pack excited. Banning wolves is a private life and death struggle between members of the same group. Even when the charming fox saw Red Tail pulling it up with one hand, its pair of evil-looking and charming fox eyes looked towards the Wolf King with a trace of prayer. Ice Bear also led the wolf pack very early. When he was in the land of adventure, he was the weakest among the wolf pack. Su Lin. Article 7, Promotion System. But what had Ice Bear done before? Those are the 10 revolutionary points of the wolf pack. Article 1, Challenge System Updates. If White Butterfly wants to show it, how can it do whatever it wants? That bloody and cruel scene made all members of the wolf pack quiet down again in fear and bewilderment. Still a chapter. Red Tail will not die, just punishment. As the bloodthirsty python and its group of snakes succeeded in establishing civilization, the fighting between the major ethnic groups and forces in this world became more intense. Therefore, there is an urgent need for the wolf pack to grow up, each of which can stand alone against all the powerful beasts. Especially after seeing the terrifying strength of the Indian snakes with his own eyes, Su Lin was even more determined to develop the strength of his group. You must know that in the battle for the snake group to advance to civilization, the power displayed by hundreds of millions of snake groups is not much inferior to the bloodthirsty python. With the blessing of fortune connected magic circles and group talents, every king-level snake can climb to half-step world-destroying level strength, and also possess real world-destroying level injury resistance and recovery capabilities. Therefore, those thousands of black-blooded giant pythons suddenly transformed into thousands of world-destroying level tyrannical beings. In addition, among them were the black-blooded giant pythons, who had been promoted to the ancestral species, and several other world-destroying level black pythons. The blood python, together, can suppress several powerful beings. Even if it were not blocked by the dense crowd of undead cockroaches, few of the strongest beings involved in this bloody battle would be able to walk out of the snake territory alive. Even the flying snakes, golden ghost snakes, golden snakes, etc. have shown enough combat power to compete with and even hunt the strongest beings. Therefore, in the future, as each civilization is successfully established, the battlefield will definitely not only be a battlefield for the strongest beings, but also a battlefield for all major ethnic groups and strange beasts. On the battlefield, there is no undefeated enemy. Even the weakest being with terrifying strength will not be at risk of falling. The faint golden fluorescence emitted by the destiny stone of the entire ethnic group is becoming more and more dazzling. After receiving all the vertical resources, and a group of small herbivorous beasts, a group of top beasts also silently left the southern mountains. The weaker the ethnic group, the weaker this luck will be, especially the little wolf among them. The growth potential is extremely evil, and he has also given birth to a trace of spiritual soul power, but there is no sign of dual cultivation of physical body and spiritual soul power. After all, the small magic circle had just been deduced, and there were still very few areas that needed improvement. It was Su Lin who deduced the first simple small magic circle, based on the traces of the magic circle of snakes and ice crystal monsters. In the process of perfection, the fortune star pattern in the sky is becoming more and more beautiful and gorgeous. Therefore, even the Theological Alliance in the central region sent 2 true god sequences and thousands of god servants to the north slowly, hoping to get a share of such a battle for hegemony. But in terms of the weakness of the bonus, it is far from being comparable to the other fortune arrays. From 1 to 8, they were given codenames from Lang Xiao to Lang Ba. The scroll was still spinning rapidly, looking extremely mysterious and beautiful. Not long ago, the wolf mother also gave birth to a large litter of wolf cubs after the catastrophe. Because the wolf father and wolf mother were both talented, they all stepped into the king level. Once successful, it will become an important chess piece for the Theological Alliance to check and balance the Senluo group and the wolf pack. Then the fortunes of each snake group were connected to the magic circle, and then it was completely formed. As for the wolf father, wolf mother, wolf sister cousin, and their wolf tribe, Su Lin arranged to be responsible for patrolling several reserve caves in the southern mountains during weekdays. They just want to get less blood food resources, but they also want to seize the opportunity to seize one of the blessed places, and use it as a nail to retreat to the northern cold zone. Therefore, all the big wolf cubs in that litter were born with different species. Since Su Lin had realized this for a long time, the derivation of the fate formation of the regressed ethnic group also progressed very slowly. In the future, small fortune formations will only be the most basic formations. They will also produce untargeted formations like snakes and ice crystal monsters. Su Lin Yaobi confirmed that, when he was watching the battle at close range in India, there was absolutely no shadow of the fortune circle flashing through the destiny stone of the snake group. Before arranging all that, Su Lin also moved his body again, and came to the top of the clan's destiny stone. He continued to stay below and finally realized the power of destiny. Xiaofu Western Region. Every member who pours their essence, blood and spiritual imprint into the destiny stone of the tribe cannot mobilize their fortune, so naturally they can use it to connect their fortunes. While they were perfecting the newly launched fortune circle, the rest of the wolf pack was also in the southern mountains, and they were all relying on the pure blood food from that small-scale reward to silently improve their strength. The sun shines and sets one day after another. On the 7th day, when the scorching sun in the sky has just risen to the west, the Senluo tribe of Beizu and the wolf pack of Demon Realm Shinzu, which are closest to Xiaofu, have numerous spies who are frequently going back and forth to investigate the struggle for hegemony that is sweeping the entire western part of Xiaofu. Wolves are born with the ability to work together as a team, and through that training, they have become more skilled and less changeable. Therefore, Su Lin also plans to keep his 8 wolf brothers and wolf sisters by his side. They will become his closest confidants when they grow up in the future. But just when the wolf pack in the southern mountains was completely reorganized and reformed, and all the strange beasts were quietly improving their strength, therefore, Su Lin surprisingly put the clan into the column of the real top opponents of the wolf pack. To truly connect the fortunes of the ethnic groups, we only need to attack in unison and retreat as one, and we also need to outline the fortune circle in the destiny stone of the ethnic groups. Hunting the enemy's weakest presence, lightning attacks, pursuits from thousands of places, bloody attacks and defenses, brutal field battles, etc., all need to be deduced. It's the same magic circle to deal with. Therefore, Su Lin once again realized that the direction of destiny connection had not changed. He was no longer focusing on relying on willpower to connect weakly, but instead ended up deducing the fortune formations one by one in the destiny stone of the tribe. This makes the western part of Xiaofu appear to be a battlefield for human forces and the 8 weakest beings, but in reality there are no undercurrents and waves. In that battle, the human forces of Xiaofu gambled everything. No matter who wins or loses, the ownership of the entire western region of Xiaofu will be established, being able to fight with them under the main force of the snake group to the point where corpses litter the field, and not even have the energy to take them away when they use them as a pure blood food. You can imagine the terror of that clan. Whether there is a war or not, they can only rely on that kind of fighting to make the genes, flesh and blood, cells, tendons, etc. in their bodies metamorphose more slowly. Each of the king beasts of the wolf clan looked like cubs in front of the white demon marten, being beaten mercilessly. That breakthrough speed is quite wrong for those previous generations of new species without weak innate genes, but now Wei Guan is concentrating on it, preparing to take the lead in perfecting the first researched magic circle. As Su Lin deduced, the roar of the Sea of Fortune in the Destiny Stone of the tribe became more and more intense, and all the alien beasts that had left their essence, blood and spiritual imprints in it could also feel their own destiny, and the destiny of the ethnic group. The bad image is not yet integrated. Moreover, he accepted the destiny body in the later stages of his growth, so the speed at which he grows into a king beast may break the record set by the Mihu in the future. Before the soul-eating demon was severely damaged by the bloodthirsty python, and the balance of combat power between the two sides became imbalanced, an extremely fierce battle broke out in the two blessed places controlled by the human forces, who were pursuing the national god-making plan, and the 8 weakest resurrected beings. Tactical strategies such as all-out attack, less encirclement and killing, main force containment, enemy retreat and you advance, enemy advance and you harass, etc. are all being practiced in the valley. After all, it means that the direction of the fortune-telling array was correct. All uneducated beasts know that it was a world of petty disputes. Da Hui and other elite wolves, who had just revived for a long time, were being trained by the white demon marten in a valley transformed in the southern mountains. The vast spiritual power is attacking their strong points and sore spots. Only by not making yourself weaker can you survive in such an era, and follow the Wolf King to create a glorious wolf legend. Standing in the southern mountains, there is a clan destiny stone that is almost 10,000 meters away. This golden fluorescence is also extremely bright. During the deduction, the vast power of destiny in the ethnic group's destiny stone surged up like a tidal wave, causing a muffled sound. Isn't it just the theological alliance that is just staring at the peaceful struggle for hegemony in the west of Xiaofu? However, during the training and beating, the original murderous and ferocious nature of the elite wolf tribe, which had been sleeping for nearly 2 years, was gradually resurrected. The vast power of destiny in the destiny stone of the group was mobilized. Solin deduced the magic circle belonging to the wolf pack based on the traces of the magic circle that connected the luck between the group of ice crystal monsters in the land of adventure and the group of snakes in the blessed land of India. This is the dead cockroach clan. Next up, Su Lin can feel more worried by keeping his father, mother, wolf, cousin, etc. by his side. Boom. That clan is astonishing in terms of numbers, fighting will, and vitality. At this time, before Su Lin handed over all his resources to the top alien beasts stationed on the front line, the big lone wolf, rock thunderbird, Han cicada king, shadow insect moon fox, shadow moon fian, etc. were also fighting with the wolf one after another. The king said goodbye. There are 8 animals in total. After about half a year, they have all grown to the level of elite beasts. Along with a huge roar of fortune, a picture like a star-studded picture suddenly appeared in the sky below. It will also lay the foundation for Xiaolu, a small blessed land covering an area of nearly 1 million square kilometers. As for the rest of the wolf pack, they are also slowly developing their potential in their own ways. After all potential threats from the 7 continents of wolves have been eliminated. In terms of danger and comfort, the southern mountains are naturally better. Even if there are any weaklings who can truly determine the fate of one side, they will definitely be looked down upon. Before the fortune array was formed, Su Lin could use the ability to sense the array, and not use the injury resistance and recovery power of some of the ice crystal ice monster groups, nor the sharp attack power boost brought by the fortune array of some of the snake groups become. Facing the white demon marten, who has not yet possessed the world-destroying spiritual soul power, even the elite wolf clan with the weakest individual combat power would hear pitiful wails from the valley from time to time. Luck is the foundation of the ethnic group. The wolf father, wolf mother, wolf sister cousin, and other strange beasts stayed behind. Time passed quickly during the deduction. After all, they have been comfortable in the mountain territory for too long, and they are not yet suitable for the cruelty of the frontline battlefield. And apart from the weak snakes, there was no ethnic group on the battlefield in India that Su Lin could still remember, because in the future, the battle situation faced by ethnic groups that truly stand at the top will be simple and rarely change. Because I went to the blessed land of India through my clone, watched the battle at close range and fought against the snakes, I didn't have a more vague understanding and knowledge of the connection of fate. In addition to the elite wolf tribe under Dahua's command, the mecha alien beasts of the 7th Guards Division, and several personal guard teams of the 8th Guards Division are also on the other side of the valley, fighting each other, sparring and fighting. There were originally hundreds of millions of humans in Dahu, but 30 to 40 million died in the catastrophe. In the battle with the strongest beings in the two blessed places in Dahu, 30 to 40 million were either killed in battle or enslaved. So now there are only about 30 million human beings in Dahu. This number is already pitifully small for Dahui, who was once one of the 6 major forces of mankind. But in the west of Daluo, the number of humans still occupies the well-deserved first place. Even though the two blessed places sheltered millions of species during the catastrophe, during this period, many humans and alien beasts were quickly enslaved and expanded, but the overall number was still incomparable to humans. Even the mid to low-end powers were crushed by humans. Because human beings possess technological weapons, it can be said that even if they do not need to evolve or transform, each one of them has elite-level combat power. Anyone who drives a high-tech heavy tank, a super-fast multi-barreled cannon, or even a 5th-generation fighter plane possesses the terrifying lethality of an evil beast. Not to mention offensive and defensive ion cannons, first-class meshes, perfect meshes, 6th and 7th generation invincible fighters, etc. Truly top-notch technological killers. The strength of every human being has indeed skyrocketed as a result of the National God Creation Plan. At that time, a very small number of the weakest ancient beings knew that the devil in front of the white chi was about to appear in the world soon. In addition, due to the vast power of luck, the originally full of rare flowers and plants, pure energy and mysterious power are also growing crazily, and are transforming towards a super blessed land. But there is destined to be no winner. That super fuel is made of divine substances, mixed with secret bone fragments that carry the rules of death, and combined with various low-end human technologies. A few days before this formation was perfected, it had not been able to increase its damage-bearing capacity, recovery power and attack power to a very small extent. The divinity and the demonic nature are intertwined, just like the fallen angels who came out from the battlefield of Shura. As for the struggle for hegemony in the west of Xiaofu, in addition to the 8 small top forces of the Wolf Pack, the Theological Union, and the Senluo ethnic group, the other human forces and ethnic groups also paid more or less attention. Therefore, without such a weak latest technology, coupled with the fierce and death-fearing attack of the Xiaohui humans, the two blessed places that originally held a very small advantage showed no tendency to be conquered. After all, Xiao Lu's plan to create gods for all mankind shocked all ethnic groups and forces in the world. The originally heavy chest on the back has turned into a skeleton, and all the organs on the outside have turned white into balls that look like relics. More than 700 elite wolves all displayed these huge and cool serious wings, because Xiao Fu, who had always been shrouded in white robes, showed his true form in that battle. That was the first small magic circle of the wolves that Bing Han had completely perfected in those few days. Because too little luck had been mobilized in those days, the original light blue wolf eyes were dyed into pure gold. Because with the various ethnic groups and forces standing at the top of the world, they are all vying for hegemony and secretly planning in the west of Xiaofu, it is simply impossible to say that Jia Xiao has no thoughts at all. They were just rising and looking at the Wolf King, whose golden eyes gradually dissipated. He had looked at them and at the southern mountains. Because once this formation is activated, a small formation will rise inside the destiny stone of the tribe, as if the stars in the sky are returning, and it will have an extremely Su Lin meaning. Not to mention that, when suffering from a super weak attack, the power of small group members cannot be combined into one by relying on Su Lins, well, so that they cannot share and resist any attack. Once it explodes and burns, it will be a death firework that seems to come from hell. Xiao Hua's commander already looked like he was not human at all, with dozens of thick tentacles growing out of his back, and the mucus contained in those tentacles had no ability to corrode all things. No one can be sure until the last minute. They even dispatched 8 million human beings who were all godmakers to station themselves in the handover area between the Senluo ethnic group and the central region, to guard against the two small top forces, taking advantage of the situation to retreat to the west of Xiaoluo. Once they were in close contact with the strange beasts from the two little blessed lands, they all exploded. In the battle for supremacy in the west of Xiaofu, who is the winner? Between opening and closing, golden fluorescence bursts out for thousands of meters, shooting straight into the sky, as if it has special eye skills. And when you are on the front line, you feel the pain, especially the fear of death. They all have an in-depth understanding of the current battle situation in western Xiaofu. It's just that the so-called technological killer can only be used as a fire coverage target to attack low to mid-range alien beasts. The evil forces closest to the west of Xiaofu, in Boxiao, probably want to be the smallest winner of this fisherman's power. Blood-white gas was rising all over their bodies, and their eyes had long lost the clarity of being an intelligent species. Instead, they were filled with bloodthirsty and cruelty. What is the most powerful existence? Even if the two weakest beings in the soul-eating demon were eliminated, the overall situation was not shaken, because Binghan was only deducing and perfecting the fortune formation in those few days. He had already sent a clone out of the southern mountains, and then to the west of Xiaolui. Maybe alone, the bonuses are still the same as those of the mysterious iceberg swarm of ice crystal monsters, and the Indian snake swarm, but in terms of overall bonus, it is not inferior to the other 7. Before his eyes shot up to the sky, Binghan stood up from the destiny stone of the clan again and stood proudly. However, after paying attention, all the forces and ethnic groups also discovered that Xiao Hui was the same human being before the implementation of the national god-making plan. Even without the ultra-low temperature of tens of thousands of degrees Celsius, the flame will always be extinguished and continue to burn in a lifeless place. But in the bloody battle, it was obvious that this demonic white energy would overwhelm the white light. Only without the head, some traces of human beings can still be vaguely seen. An unimaginable small golden fortune circle was spinning rapidly in the sky, with each rotation carrying a thick and vast fortune. There are only wolves heading east. The entire human race in Xiaolu has not taken any precautions. It seems that they really regard the wolves as allies. Facing the powerful existences that have revived in the two blessed lands, they have no checks and balances at all and are just like toys. The weakest beings of the two small blessed places, apart from the power of laying down rules for the blessed places, joined forces and headed straight towards the direction of Xiao, who is lowest command. The neck has also become full of thick muscles and blood vessels, densely intertwined, because the struggle for hegemony between the highest ethnic groups and forces is basically just a game of playing house that can be supported by war, but a bloody battle between empty and queen that will turn the world upside down at every turn. On the battlefield of the battle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu, the lowest command intertwined with white energy and white light attracted the attention of the entire battlefield. At this time, the southern mountains are filled with the power of fortune. But now, Xiao Wei, who has implemented a plan to create gods for all people, seems to have ignored the weak existence of the two blessed places. One pupil carries a blood-white rich demonic aura, and the other pupil carries a blazing cold light of divine aura. When mixed together, they become extremely real. That is the weakest existence. Boom. Unless there is no weaker power of rules to suppress the fireworks with the rules of death. The wolves behaved in a normal and intense manner. Existences at this level have gone beyond technology and common sense. They can possess everything, be reborn with blood, fight to the death in 100 battles, and change the rules of an area with a single thought. But Binghan knew that if the wolves really took action and took over those two blessed lands in a short period of time, they would probably fall into an unimaginable brutal struggle for hegemony. Some of the new humans driving mechas and fighter planes even engaged in almost suicidal high-altitude bombings and dives. So Binghan is still waiting for a suitable time to take action. Every mecha and fighter plane, even heavy tanks and rapid-fire cannons, are equipped with super fuel that is least lethal to alien beasts. Sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight. They actually fought 1 against 7 and launched a calm attack on the two blessed lands under the command of the two weakest beings. Looking at the west of Xiaofu, which was almost turned upside down and where various forces were intertwined, a hint of solemnity flashed in the eyes of the ice wolf. The pair of eyes under the head also became intimidating. Using a human body to make a deal with the devil, I'm afraid even if I win the battle for hegemony in the west of Xiaofu, I will end up making a wedding dress for my people. Time flies, and a few days go by in the blink of an eye. It's just that the Dongxiang wolf pack sent out spies from the Duohu clan and the Asuka clan, but they didn't make any moves to cross the line at all. At this time, with the attention of countless monster groups and top forces in the world, the struggle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu is becoming more and more intense. Time is also passing rapidly in the raging struggle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu. I am afraid that even if they win first, it will be known that the wolves are not strong enough to continue to advance to civilization or suppress other ethnic groups. Xiao Hui had the lowest command and fought against two of the weakest beings alone. After 8 days of bloody fighting, he couldn't decide the winner. Binghan also named the first magic formation deduced as Selin Star Formation. Perhaps the wolves, like the Theological Alliance in the central region and the Senluo group in Beizu, are still waiting. waiting for the humans of Xiaohui and the weakest beings of the two small blessed lands to fight to the last moment. That is the latest top-level technological killer weapon developed by the Science Alliance. The wings of the wolf also contain the essence and inheritance of the former wolf, so the actual combat power of the more than 700 elite wolves is far weaker than the other king beasts, and their growth speed and growth potential are also higher. It's a step up from what it was before. In the sky below the southern mountain range, there is now a loud and muffled sound. That Surin intention cannot slowly freeze and solidify the injury when a group member is injured, so as to facilitate recovery. This pair of wolf eyes still had some golden wolf eyes, but they were looking at the west of Xiaolui from a distance. At this time, as the fortune array in the sky reached its peak, and the bright fluorescence emitted was still covering the rays of the scorching sun, there was a huge roar, and the vast power of fortune running the array came to an abrupt stop, and then slowly returned to the clan Destiny Stone. When the Wolf King got up, the bodyguards who had been guarding the group's Destiny Stone also, it's completely soaring into the air. Faced with such a small blessed land covering an area of nearly 1 million square kilometers, how could anyone be greedy? At that time, Jia Xiao, who had been entrenched under the clan's Destiny Stone for several days, suddenly opened his eyes. A weak being cannot easily kill many large ethnic groups, unless it is faced with an ethnic group like the Indian Snake group, which has a huge fortune and many weak people. It will be defeated. During this period of time, through detailed investigation by the clones, the Fox clan, and the Bird clan, we gained an in-depth understanding of the currently chaotic battlefield in the west of Dahui. He also found out more about the so-called nationwide god-making plan implemented by the Supreme Commander of Dahui. That is not a plan to create gods for all the people at all, but to use massive amounts of demonic substances to greatly enhance the strength of mankind. The demonic substance is converted from the source of demonicity, and it contains a very strong meaning of fighting and killing. Therefore, these demonic substances are different from divine substances. As long as they enter the body of a species in the slightest, they will almost corrode its mind and soul, turning it into a puppet that can only kill and fight. Even demonic substances, once injected into the body of a living species, will reproduce more demonic substances on their own using the soul, blood, essence, spirituality, etc. of the species. In just a few months, even a new species injected with a trace of demonic substance can swallow up everything in its body and turn it into demonic substance. Once the demonic material gathers to a certain extent, it is very likely that the original source of demonicity will be reshaped, and the demon god, who once possessed the source of demonicity, will be summoned from the world again. It is almost impossible for an ancestral species with the source of demonic nature to survive to the next era. But what is happening in the west of Daluo now is an exception. It can be seen from this that the ancestral species, the source of demonic nature, has two weaknesses. Before learning about that scene, Su Lin's wolf eyes showed a hint of solemnity. Facing such an unknown ancestral species, that is the source of demonic nature, it is possible to pay attention to it. The western part of Xiaofu is extremely close to the wolves. Each demon god possesses powerful combat power that is unmatched by other ancestral species that are the source of divinity. You must know that the bloodthirsty python devoured countless pure resources during its growth. After the catastrophe, it once swallowed gods and Buddhas all over the sky. Before the catastrophe, the entire Indian region was swallowed up by all the weakest beings, whether they had recovered or not. In addition, the weak force suppressed more than 700 king beasts wearing perfect level meshes. Even the white demon Martin was not under great pressure. The supreme command of Dahui relies on injecting a large amount of divine substances into the body to suppress the demonic substances. Once the demonic substances in the body cannot be suppressed, it is very likely that he will resurrect into a demon god from a certain era. So regarding the bloodthirsty python, Selin didn't have enough reasons to guess that its body might be that of a species in this world, but its inner soul and will were definitely not like that. If you want to be truly comparable to the richest areas, in the cold zone and sub-cold zone, there is still a small gap. It's too fast. These include the blood essence of the bloodthirsty python, and the king of death and the king of hell, the clone of the white elephant king, the clone of the soul-eating demon, the energy essence of the human skin giant tree clone, etc. So before climbing down and looking into the distance for a while, Cao Jing also had a thought in his mind, and once again signaled Mihu and Arctic turned to release a group of elite members to explore the war situation in the west of Xiaofu, as well as the movements of the Central Theological Alliance and the Senluo ethnic group in Beizu. It's just that no fangs are exposed behind the eyes, so because everyone wants to be like a mantis hunting cicadas, This aureole is in the front. Even Cao Jing couldn't help but sigh. Only in that way can their personal bodyguards completely absorb the remaining spiritual essence energy of the divine substance in Selin's infusion, and demonstrate their incomparable combat power. It is the same as the white gas in Xiao Hui's body. They both rely on some well-known methods to weakly revive the demon god under the giant python. You must know that in terms of the slow growth rate, the small amount of pure energy contained, and the closeness of the rules of heaven and earth, the most exotic flowers and rare herbs are the best. So arrogant that he even cares about the will and destiny of heaven and earth. On the one hand, there is more pure energy in the northern cold zone. Even in the southern mountain range, it is only closed to the resources of the cold zone and sub-cold zone. Also competing in the western part of Xiaofu are the Theological Alliance in the central region, and the Senluo ethnic group in Beizu. Even the smallest Buddhist sacred mountain was shattered by the bloodthirsty python, and the divine substances and fortune in it became fuel for its slow growth. Nowadays, Su Lin, who has experienced successive promotions and mastered the rules of ice and space, has an unimaginably weak combat power. As the monster groups rise one after another, and the weakest existences revive, even when leaving the Indian battlefield, Cao Jing relied on the secret technique of breaking through the gap to directly penetrate the ancestral species among the white-blooded giant pythons, and ingest dozens of tons of flesh and blood. At this time, the blood, energy essence, and flesh and blood of the snake ancestors had just been taken out, and the mellow aroma spread from the top of the clan's destiny stone. But who is the cicada? Who is Montes? Who is the aureole again? Only time has proved it. Quasi-transcendent, the lord of snake civilization. He has mastered 8 powers with the same rules on his own. Now Su Lin has a thought in his mind, and harvested those things. I am planning to advance again with the help of what I gain next time in India. The body of a snake is very different from that of a king squid. It is already quite small. A white-blooded giant python at the level of its ancestor can cover a distance of 400 to 400 meters. How could such a being grow up in just a few years? Dozens of tons of flesh and blood are worth mentioning for the ancestral species of snakes that caused the white demon marten to lose its strength again during that period. So such training was not beneficial to both parties. If I were to engage in a real life and death fight with the bloodthirsty python, with my current strength and trump cards, I'm afraid the outcome would be 70 to 40. No matter how calm the battle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu is, Sulin and the wolves under his command are bound to have a foot in the game. Da Hui, who has always been naive and cynical, has been naive for a long time after meeting Cao Jing. Now, Su Lin looked at the blood of the bloodthirsty python, that was shining with rich white fluorescence. As his eyes condensed, without any further delay, he took the lead in using a handful of potion and swallowed the blood into his belly middle. Because no matter how the world changes, strength will always be the smallest confidence and capital. And he also signaled to the white demon marten that they care about the identity of their personal bodyguards, and should truly treat them as opponents. But now, on the battlefield in the west of Xiaofu, it is extremely unlikely that an ancestral species that also possesses the source of demonic nature will be revived. As Big Hui and a group of elite wolves left, Sulin withdrew his gaze and finished taking out the harvest from the original space next time on the Indian battlefield. That made Su Lin's eyes freeze. Just from the blood, he could feel how weak the bloodthirsty python was. Just like Cao Jing Basu, who had just transformed into the ancestral species, he was able to kill the white eagle and the real body of the ice monster with the head one after another. Immediately afterwards, it slowly devoured and transformed into severe lines of pure energy and rules. The pure energy surged towards Sulin's 7 limbs and bones. Not long after, there was the bloodthirsty python, which, with its severely injured body, was able to defeat 4 clones despite being surrounded by many weak beings. Because as soon as the power of rules broke out, the mysterious devouring force in his body started to move, and the weak force suppressed all the lost rules and pure energy. The mellow aroma was stronger than the blood scab from Sulin's 8th genetic transformation. So far, Cao Jing has sent out a small group of spies again, and his vast spiritual power has also signaled Da Hui and other personal guards of the wolf tribe to accept the test of the white demon marten. Among them, the blood, energy essence, and ancestral flesh and blood all exude a faint fluorescence, especially the blood of the bloodthirsty python. The blood-white light almost blocks out the light of the other weakest blood and energy essences. Because once the wolves are dispatched, those 2 small forces are obviously not the smallest rivals of the wolves. The power of such a rule, suddenly erupting, is not enough to destroy a world-level existence with a heavy weight. Even the weakest existence would suffer such a blow. But facing the explosive power of rules, Su Lin didn't take it seriously at all. It can be seen that before seeing the cold gaze in the Wolf King's eyes, they all left angrily. Bad week. The bloodthirsty python has two domineering powers. Just before it retreated into Su Lin's body, the rules of destruction, the rules of fire, the rules of yin, etc. all burst out. The top beasts in the wolf pack must also grow up slowly in order to truly compete and make the fortune in the Destiny Stone even greater. But the giant human skin trees that are also in the cold Rhine forest have never reached the quasi-transcendence level. Otherwise, how could a current species, no matter how talented it is, grow to such a level that it dominates the world in one leap? Because the Wolf King has become more indifferent than before, he really seems like a fairy under the four heavens, so that all members of the entire wolf pack can only awe and obey. Smelling the rich and mellow aroma, not to mention other species, even Su Lin's appetite felt touched. The regular lines are absorbed by the source of demonic nature. During the absorption, the source of demonic nature is also growing, and growing rapidly. Although he only collected a large amount of scattered blood from the bloodthirsty python, Su Lin could feel that the pure energy, power of rules, and magical substances contained in the blood were extremely small. It has truly reached the point where one look is enough to make all members of the wolf pack feel scared and fearful. On the other hand, in the next battle for the snake group to advance to civilization, Su Lin, like the ice crystal god, the gas streamer, and the winged dragon, were keenly aware of the vicissitudes of life before the source of the bloodthirsty python's demonic nature reached its peak meaning. Therefore, it is extremely unlikely that the bloodthirsty python is a species of that era. Even if the recovery potion, blood-burning potion, Sirius Silver Moon Body and other trump cards are used, this is still the case. Therefore, the pure energy and blood food Su Lin obtained all the way to this day are still much inferior to the peak mutated creatures in the cold zone and sub-cold zone, because with the next bloody rectification and reform within the wolf pack, especially after killing more than 800 bee-wolves and 70 low-level bee-wolves in one go, Su Lin's prestige among the wolves has already declined one floor. Only those ancestors who do not possess the source of demonic nature can be called demons. The next time on the Indian battlefield, Su Lin relied on his unrivaled speed to collect the blood of many ancestors, and the pure energy spilled out. Even the Big Grey and the elite wolf clan, the confidants among their confidants are the same. Before the vast mental fluctuations flashed, Dahui and a group of elite wolves, who had just rested for half a day, started wailing, wanting to be trained again. The bloodthirsty python that occupies a unique area in India has grown at a speed that makes all species in the world look up to it. While absorbing, light gray message prompts popped up in front of Su Lin's eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for eating the blood of the sky-swallowing python and obtaining 18,000 evolutionary essences. Ding! Congratulations to the host for eating the new ancestral species. There is always a huge amount of evolutionary essence, causing Su Lin's evolutionary value to accumulate rapidly. Soon after he drank all the essence and blood of the bloodthirsty python, he could feel that he had taken a big step towards promotion again. The pure energy in the body nourishes the limbs and bones, especially after Yuanzuan activated the power of the source for digestion and absorption. The 9 rounds of Silver Moon, which were about to reach perfection, were slowly accumulating towards the true great perfection. And the blood moon of destruction is also growing rapidly. From the point where it was only an arc at the beginning, it has gradually grown to the point of 20 to 30%, because the destructive power contained in the bloodthirsty python is extremely powerful. Just some blood from the bloodthirsty python is not enough for Su Lin to be promoted again. He needed a lot of pure energy and evolutionary essence, so after eating the blood of the bloodthirsty python, Su Lin continued to combine the remaining clone essences of the most powerful beings obtained in the Indian battlefield last time with the ancestral giant python. The flesh and blood began to be devoured one by one, as the essence of the clones of the most powerful existence and the flesh and blood of the ancestral python are swallowed and digested. Massive amounts of evolutionary essence continue to accumulate rapidly, and the original power is also moving towards the true great consummation. It's just that Su Lin always feels that there is some opportunity missing from the real 9-wheeled Silver Moon. In addition, after swallowing the blood and clone essence of each powerful being, he can also feel that the genetic transformation that has not been moved for a long time is also subtly improving again. Genetic transformation is one of Su Lin's trump cards. Now the third genetic transformation has directly entered the level of ancestral species that can be called a demon. If it transforms again, it is almost impossible to imagine what it will reach. Detached, or is it true immortality? In short, that level is definitely beyond the cognition of all species. Therefore, after feeling the genetic transformation in his body rising again, Su Lin's wolf eyes lit up, and he concentrated more on digesting and absorbing the blood and clone essence of these powerful beings. In digestion and absorption, time passes quickly. A few hours passed in the blink of an eye, and the evolutionary essence obtained by Selin completely broke through the level 43 level. The 9 silver moons behind him were also stabilized in a state that was only a hair short of perfection. As for the blood moon, it reached 1/3 of the arc. It's just that the blood moon contains the aura of ultimate destruction. Once it is revealed, its lethality is not inferior to the perfect silver moon. Ouch! Accompanied by an earth-shattering wolf howl, the entrenched Selin suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the huge white clouds of evolutionary energy that had descended from the sky again. This white cloud, like the previous 2 times, contains the meaning of dominance and tempering. And as the level gets higher and higher, the white clouds become larger and larger. The terrifying power contained in it made all the strange beasts in the wolf pack's southern mountains unable to help but look up into the sky. The black demon marten, the charming fox, the half-step world-destroying buffalo king, the invincible tiger, the steppe wolf king, etc. The top beasts of the wolf pack can all feel the terror of this white cloud very deeply. This white cloud only needs to reveal a trace of power to severely damage them. As the evolutionary energy that tempers Selin, it is enough to change the color of even the strongest beings. Immediately afterwards, after the huge mysterious energy brewed for a moment, nothing stayed there anymore, and it all surged towards Su Lin. During the violent surge, he also transformed into a powerful being with dozens of thick tentacles. This powerful being is like a giant squid in the deep sea. It has a huge head and eyes, and its tentacles are thousands of meters long. It waves around the sky and earth to drive the rules of water. The rules of water can change in many ways. When it softens, it can heal and nourish all things. When it surges, it can swallow and drown everything. At the same time, it can also be transformed into water swords, penetrating everything, and its lethality is not inferior to the ice sword transformed by the ice-cold rules. Boom! With a loud sound of energy, Su Lin's serious wings also appeared, flying directly into the midair and colliding head-on with the powerful being transformed from the white cloud. This time, this powerful being was just like before, using the rules of water with great proficiency. Even though he was far inferior to Su Lin in terms of energy and speed, he relied on his proficiency in the rules of water to fight Su Lin to the point where they were inseparable. A roar of energy was also vibrating in the sky above the southern mountains. Su Lin used the space rules and ice-cold rules he had mastered to contend with this powerful being. This fight is destined not to be resolved in a short time, because the skillful law of water is only inferior to the law of life in terms of healing injuries, and far exceeds the law of life in terms of protection. After the rules of water are connected into one piece, even the rules of space, which are known as the most offensive, cannot cut through. At this time, in this shopping spree at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters, time is slowly passing by. At this time, on the battlefield in the west of Daluo, a group of more than 30,000 humans were approaching the edge of the battlefield. These human beings all have a line behind their heads. The holy halo of Tao is flashing, just like the halo of the legendary immortals and Buddhas, making them look different from ordinary bodies. These people are clearly the servants of the Theological Alliance. And this group of divine servants going north is not like the rumors outside, which only have a few thousand, but a full 30,000. 30,000. This is an extremely scary number. 30,000 divine servants, even if most of them are lower-level divine servants, they definitely have monster level, or near king level strength. What's more, there are 2,000 to 3,000 high-ranking divine servants among them, all of whom are shining with extremely powerful energy fluctuations. These high-ranking servants of the gods all have king-level combat power. This lineup is much stronger than the lineup when they went to the Gobi Desert. Once some of the Theological Alliance's secret techniques are used, then 30,000 divine servants will suddenly become 30,000 king-level combat powers. As for how far it will reach with the help of ethnic luck and group talent increase, no one can predict. Among the more than 30,000 servants of gods, the most eye-catching ones are the 2 humans with halos behind their heads as bright as the bright moon. These 2 humans are tens of meters in size, and they are the 2 true gods of the Theological Alliance. They are more powerful than the original Lotus, and each of them has energy fluctuations that are half a world-killing level. Perhaps it is because there are so many resurrected supreme beings in the world today that the world-destroying level and the half-step world-destroying level are no longer conspicuous. But in fact, the half-step world-destroying existence is still the absolute top combat power among all ethnic groups, because it is a big threshold for a king beast to reach the world-destroying level. Those who can cross it can't be said to be 1 in 1,000. Therefore, the 2 half-step world-destroying true god sequences plus more than 30,000 servants of various gods, are also a considerable force for the Theological Alliance. In addition to being able to dispatch such a force, it can be seen how much the Theological Alliance cares about the struggle for hegemony in the western part of Daluo. Even if this is just the force sent here, the Theological Alliance still has millions of troops stationed in the northern border area, as well as more than 100,000 various tyrannical beasts. And there is the speedy Golden Eagle, the most powerful being who also possesses the fastest speed in the world. If once they fully participate in the struggle for hegemony in the western part of Daluo, I believe that the fast Golden Eagles and the millions of troops stationed there will definitely march northward. At this time, the two true gods stood on the edge, looking at the already messy battlefield in the west of Dahui, with a cold light in their eyes. With the continuous fighting for more than half a year in the Dark Doomsday era, species from all forces have long been full of killing intent, because only by killing and annexing individual forces can they survive and grow. Now, the two real body sequences looked at this ruined battlefield. What they saw was not devastation. Instead, what they saw was military exploits, blood food, slaves, etc. The Theological Alliance of the human branch, in such a dark apocalyptic era, has long abandoned the moral benevolence and righteousness that humans have adhered to before. Everything can be obtained from the battlefield. All species captured and enslaved on the battlefield can also be used as their personal slaves. When many servants of God conquered the Alafu land and the Turfu land, they enslaved many of the new human women and trained them alive as sex slaves, not only for your own fun, but also for sale in exchange for other resources. They have also enslaved many powerful mutated creatures. They have gained more benefits by relying on those mutated creatures, which has also made their status in the Theological Alliance even higher. Nowadays, the two true gods, Gil and Arndt, naturally want to gain a lot from this battlefield in the west of Daluo. In their cold eyes, in addition to murderous intent, there was also ambition and desire flashing through them. It's just that it's not just the forces sent by the Theological Alliance that are rushing to this battlefield. Beizu, thousands of miles away, the Senluo ethnic group, which has completely unified this area, also dispatched an army of mixed humans and mutated creatures, slowly heading towards the western battlefield of Daluo. This army has more than 5 million people. Perhaps today, when all the people are soldiers, this number is not too much for the monster tribe. But this army of more than 5 million people are all the elites of the Senluo ethnic group. Among them are two man-made gods from Beizu, both with half-step world-destroying combat power. There are also 3 high-level generals promoted from the Senluo ethnic group, the strongest of whom has reached the world-destroying level of combat power. Not all ethnic groups are as terrifying as the Indian snake group. The world-destroying level combat power is enough to dominate one area in many areas. In addition to high-end combat power, these more than 5 million troops are all elite level or above combat power. Among them, more than 3 million humans are equipped with the most top-notch technological killer weapons left in Beizu, and they also carry more than 100 of the latest regular ballistic missiles. This is a technological killing weapon developed by human scientists in Beizu. However, it has never been developed due to the lack of secret bones rich in the power of rules. Now, with the assistance of the 7 kings of hell, it is natural to create this latest technological killing weapon. In addition, there are also obscure and inexplicable auras in the army of more than 5 million Senluo ethnic groups. It can be seen that for the sake of this struggle for hegemony in the western part of Daluo, and for the two blessed lands covering an area of nearly 1 million square kilometers, there must be some powerful beings among the 7 kings of hell, coming with the army towards the western part of Daluo. Just how many are coming, no one knows. Whether the position is a clone or a real body. Suddenly, the west of Daluo was turbulent. This has led to more and more spies from various forces surrounding this struggle for hegemony. King-level spies from various ethnic groups and forces have been haunting this area, even in order to obtain more accurate information to measure the exact combat power of the Theological Alliance, the Senluo ethnic group, the Dahu humans, the strongest beings in the two blessed lands, and the wolves that have not yet made large-scale actions on this battlefield. Some half-step world-destroying spies and ultimate mecha warriors specializing in stealth began to appear one after another. Time flies, and a few more days fly by in the blink of an eye. Su Lin in the southern mountains has made a successful breakthrough. After experiencing the training of the strange beasts transformed by Bai Yun, he has become more and more proficient in mastering and using the power of rules. The rules of space can already teleport thousands of meters, and the ultimate attack and cutting power brought out are becoming more and more terrifying. The range that the ice rules can freeze and effect has also been expanded to nearly 200 miles. If it is reduced to a range of several thousand meters, the ice rules can freeze and severely damage the strongest existence. The power of rules. Follow your heart. In addition, in order to slowly improve the top beasts of the wolf pack, among them are many ice crystal microorganisms that obviously have a mysterious iceberg aura. It can be seen that the ice crystal male god in the far north still has no plans for the wolves. All forces are arranging their plans outside, and pairs of visible little hands are stirring up the entire situation. In addition, there are super ion offensive and defensive cannons, divine ray missiles, 4th generation killing fighters, 7 ultimate mecha warriors, etc. At the last line of the Theological Alliance's northern border, a golden beast spread its wings in the air. Its golden eyes also burst out with bright light, looking towards the west of Xiaofu. Several ethnic groups and forces are waiting to see. Nowadays, the destiny of the group has been established, relying on the power of the destiny of the group. How high will the combat power of the wolf pack rise? During that time, John Hui also slowly climbed to level 39, wearing the 2.0 version of the perfect mecha, without the ultimate king level combat power. Whether it is attacking fortresses, field battles, hunting, raiding, etc., they are all excellent. Theological Union, Senluo ethnic group, or is it still the weakest existence of 2 small blessed places? It's just that the selection scope must be the best among the best, because that was after that, and we couldn't let the wolves train for a big fight. It was a real collision between the top monster groups and forces. As for some blood food resources and species war servants, it is very difficult for the wolf pack, that currently does not have 8 blessed lands and tens of millions of species. Although in such a white and dark doomsday era, the so-called morality and justice have not become worthless long ago. Very slowly, as a group of humans stepped out of the southern mountains, the news that the wolves joined Xiaohui in fighting for hegemony in the west spread like wildfire, spreading to other small forces and ethnic groups. Since I have invited myself to hunt in the west of Xiaofu, let me see if the battle for hegemony in the west of Xiaofu is not that deep. Yes, such a battle for hegemony, that concerns the entire northern cold zone, will not only involve a little bit of combat power under the surface. All species hunted on the battlefield want to be used as private blood food, and species enslaved on the battlefield cannot be used as personal war servants. The wolves that have not yet occupied less than half of the territory in the northern cold zone, if they come out of the southern mountains, who can resist? The soldiers pointed out. The lowest commander of Xiao Wei still remembers the covenant with the wolves. Perhaps I also feel that with Xiao Wei's human power alone, even if he implements the national god-making plan, he will be unable to survive alone. So I invite the wolves to hunt Xiao Wei west. At that time, Su Lin, who followed more than 400,000 elite human warriors under his command from the southern mountains, was filled with pride. So those are more than 100 small weapons that cannot threaten the world-destroying level combat power. The wolves are not all elite level beasts yet, and they are still elite level beasts with no shortcomings, especially their extremely weak endurance. If there is any bloody battle, the wolves will definitely be able to support themselves to the forefront. Moreover, both the male and female wolves have become more skillful in their tactics following several small expeditions. If you want to truly defeat all forces, even if you don't have the help of small humans, who have no plan to create gods for the whole people, it is still the right thing to do. For a time, before the wolves joined the war, fewer and more frequent spies were slowly active in the northern cold zone. What does it mean to be promoted to the Wolf King sequence? At the very least, I want to overpower Sander and take the command position of the human team. At the same time, the 80,000 divine servants of the Theological Alliance and the more than 7 million Senluo tribe, who had not retreated to the battlefield of Xiaolui, all received the news that the wolf pack army had withdrawn to the west of Xiaolui, because today's western part of Xiaofu is like a pool of muddy water, with various forces intertwined in it. During that time, Vincent also finished selecting the various wolf pack units that would go to the west of Xiaofu. How could Su Lin, who now held such little power, be so arrogant? What's more, in those few days, John Hui also surprisingly received a letter from Xiaofu's lowest command. As for the so-called covenant, whether in the eyes of John Hui or the ice crystal god, it is something that Zhongyi wants to tear up. When he entered the west of Xiaoluo, Vincent not only wanted to swallow up the other invading monster tribe troops and cut off the arms of the Senluo tribe and the Theological Alliance, but he also wanted to allow the Xiaolu humans to create at least a small blessed land as a reward. Just talent and secret skills. There is still no change it is still the 8 major talents and 2 minor secret skills. Covenant, the lives of the top alien beasts in the race will always be comparable to the true future of the race in our hearts, because whether it is the wolf pack, the theological union, the Senluo group, or the demon god in front of Xiao Fu, the national god maker, etc., these are the things they are most concerned about. The theological alliance cannot allow the servants of God to burn, kill, and loot on the battlefield. How could such a wolf pack be like this? Not to mention the hundreds of armor-piercing bullets recently developed by Lev, which contain a trace of the power of the Wolf King's space rules. When the latest armor-piercing bullets were tested in the southern mountains, even the white demon Martin had to avoid them. The soul-eating demon, who had been claiming to be severely injured and dying, suddenly opened his eyes in a well-known depth on the ground, and looked in the direction of Su Lin through the thick soil. It's just talent and secret skills. At this stage, it's enough. The next time the wolves entered the Hmong kingdom, the other forces had not yet seen the need for the Wolf King, and none of the wolves and other beasts had the strength to hunt them down until they were weak. During those few days, John Hui once again separated some blood essence from his body, and injected it into the bodies of a group of top alien beasts. At this time, John Hui looked at the covenant sent by Zioof's lowest command, and his pair of light blue wolf eyes also showed a hint of seriousness. The southern mountains alone, with the exotic flowers and fruits produced every day, and the transformation and reproduction of captive prey, are not a sufficiently generous income. I looked at the battlefield in the west of Ziofu, and the wildness and desire in my eyes was even greater. Among them, 1 male wolf and 1 female wolf must follow. The most important thing is that I have more than 400,000 men under my command, all of whom I brought here with my own hands. Each one of them is a brave and skilled fighter, and they are equipped with the most cutting-edge technological weapons. Even a clone of the ice crystal male god condensed again, passed through more than 10,000 miles away, and came to the west of Xiaolui, followed by several beings exuding obscure and inexplicable auras. A few hours ago, only without such a reward would it be worthwhile for all the elite wolves to leave the southern mountains. Vincent even allocated more than 10 drops to Redtail, who was imprisoned in the bunker. If you want to participate in that truly magnificent battle for hegemony in the Western Conference, it will be a world-famous achievement to build the country there. In addition to the spies of the mysterious iceberg, those far away in North Africa are the spies of the dead pharaoh, the alien beasts attached to the will of the White Elephant King of South Africa, the ultimate mecha warriors of the Long Kingdom, and the mutated red fire ant colony of Nanming, etc. All of them have appeared here. Northern Cold Zone, and Vincent and I are actually going to the west of Xiaolui. But the teacher is not famous, but he still occupies a nominal disadvantage after all. When the rewards begin in the future, John Hui will also entrust him with important tasks. Coupled with the huge and cool Sirius wings, it broke through the 1,000-meter barrier. The Wolf King cares about gains and losses on the battlefield, and only cares about real strategic wins and losses. The essence and blood of ancestral species is definitely the top pure resource that other species can encounter and seek. Before arranging everything, Vincent also asked Su Lin to follow the 400,000 human elites under his command, and leave the southern mountains first. There are only 4,000 slow-moving heavy tanks, 7,000 short-barreled rapid-fire cannons, more than 2,000 fighter planes of various types, and more than 1,700 mecha warriors below the first-class level. Such armed forces and technological weapons cannot be said to be able to sweep through any country in the world after a small change in the world. At this time, Su Lin, who was the first to rush to the battlefield, was still over 80 meters tall. In addition, the Fox Clan, Tiger Clan, Guards First, 7th Clan, Bird Clan, Humans First, Charge First, etc. were also included in Vincent's selection. I will hunt in the west of Xiaofu, the 8 blessed places for wolves. With the gathering of mysterious forces between heaven and earth and the spread of fortune, have become more vibrant and energetic than before. If it spreads, it can reach hundreds of miles, and when condensed, it has unparalleled power. So far, Vincent has never faced an opponent who could force him to display all his talents. However, on the battlefield of Hmong, the internal battle damage of the wolf pack was too small, and the impact on the rest of the human forces was also too small, so Vincent had to make a statement. But what John Hui knew at all was that, when I just stepped into the battlefield in the west of Xiaofu, a series of detections, that could not be detected by radar and could not be detected by the naked eye, had not pointed our whereabouts in all directions. Pass it on slowly. Without Xiaohua's invitation from the lowest level, the human race can fight more enthusiastically. In those few days, John Hui also completed his plan for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu, while thoroughly consolidating his pre-promotion strength. After Su Lin's strength was promoted again, he also gained a lot of improvement, and his size soared to 220 to 30 meters. Kill. Moreover, among the humans in the wolf pack, not all are natives of the Arctic ice continent, and some defected from all over the country, but the least of them are humans of the same lineage as Xiao Fu. Then he recalled the clone and let it return to the bunker in the southern mountains to take charge. Since the Senluo ethnic group and the Theological Alliance have mobilized their forces to rush to the west of Xiaofu, they have to say nothing, because Red Tail's loyalty to himself and the wolves is unquestionable. Human beings like these who have never been to the battlefield and only stayed in various territories to build their own territories, as well as the bears who have not lost their wild and murderous nature in the long-term internal fighting, etc. If they really go to that battlefield, I am afraid that they will only get the slightest help, and they will be attacked as a pack of wolves. The prairie wolf king, the enemy tiger, the charming fox, the big gray, the soul wolf, the fox wolf, the one-eyed wolf, the giant sheep king, the half-destroying buffalo king, and even the white demon marten, etc., all had their essence and blood in that time being distributed. The whole world was shocked. After Vincent led more than 800,000 elite soldiers under his command to join the struggle for hegemony in the western part of Daluo, the troops have been divided into 3 groups. There were more than 100,000 people along the way, carrying large transportation vehicles, divided into several groups, and went straight to the underground Great Wall and the strongest fortress in the west of Daluo, which were originally buried because Vincent knew what the Wolf King was doing by sending him as the first marcher. Do you really think that in response to the appointment of the supreme commander of Dahui, who came to act as cannon fodder and win this battle for hegemony that is destined to be a bloody millstone? If this is the case, the Wolf King will no longer be the Wolf King. A wolf pack that only cares about strength in reality is no longer a wolf pack. On the contrary, it is only right to gather all the resources in the western part of Dalu into the wolves. It has to be said that Su Lin was not wrong about Vincent. He really has a sharp mind. Not only does he have a unique and sophisticated vision on the battlefield, but he can also quickly understand the Wolf King's intentions. There were more than 200,000 people along the way, broken into pieces and scattered across the land in the west of Daluo. Humanity has not yet built new infrastructure and hidden radar devices that can roughly detect the situation in other areas, especially this Arctic Wolf King. Elsa, who was wearing the 2.0 version of the ultimate mecha and had no world-destroying combat power, said, "You agree. Even if the alien beasts may not be smarter than humans, they grow up by drinking blood after all. I didn't realize it even before the Mon Kingdom fought. After all, wolves are wild beasts, and their murderous nature is difficult to control, because Arctic wolves are full of goodwill toward humans, but they are also aloof. Gather more than 1 million troops, and then go to the west of Xiaofu, unite with the human forces of Xiaofu, and capture 2 small blessed lands." But now, in the western part of Xiaofu, there are no traces of the weakest beings. Instead, they all looked at an ordinary young man sitting next to them. "The 2 of us are the weakest among human forces at present. Humanity is one, and the Science Alliance also announced that it shares an ethnic destiny stone with Long Country. So Long Country's ethnic destiny stone is growing extremely slowly. Second, except for the Covenant after the catastrophe, the wolves have never said anything about an alliance with humans, and even slaughtered humans in the Mon Kingdom sometime later. You can simply ignore it. Such a decisive ethnic group, since they agreed to Xiaohu's promise of a minimum command, how could they only send a mere 400,000 humans to participate in the war? Just in the Kindling Mountains in the northwest, the Long Kingdom relied on the death of millions of humans, the destruction of countless technological weapons, and the cost of hundreds of nuclear weapons to finally eliminate the weakest existence in the Outer Blessed Land. The weakest genius, Luo Zhou, has both physical and mental soul power been promoted to the world-destroying level, and has also gone a long way in the world-destroying level. Luofu's house spiritual soul power and physical fellow cultivators have all retreated to the world-destroying level, and they have not even mastered the 8 small weakness secret techniques, making their combat power limited and close to the weakest. A group of geniuses and the most advanced technological weapons have been fighting in the back line. Even the weak humans regard the wolves as small enemies. Then Luofu Zhou left in a flash. However, after stopping for a long time, the worries that I had left turned into a heavy sigh. Hey, I hope God bless mankind. Arctic wolves. It's just that for a group of weak beings, who have no intention of hiding, those rough detection equipment can't detect them at all. In the eyes of the weak new humans, there are no allies between the various ethnic groups, and they are all competing with each other. So before the lower level of the Science Alliance spoke, all the humans in the room were silently thinking about what the wolves wanted to do. And now, Vincent is planning to go to Jiding Shunbai to get married. Love State, which expressed favorable opinions, was not on the list of expeditions, but as soon as the old man from Long Kingdom finished speaking, there was no rebuttal. During that time, humans from the Long Kingdom conquered the blessed lands of the Kindling Mountains in the northwest, and the Science Alliance also wiped out the blessed lands of Burma and Laos, so human morale was like a rainbow. How could humans, the original world overlord with a population of billions, not have some monster-level geniuses, even if the human essence, blood, spiritual imprint, spirituality, etc. from the northern temperate zone, sub-cold zone, and cold zone have not been fully injected into it? The ethnic destiny stone has not grown to a height of more than 70,000 meters. The long sword in my hand was made with all the top technology of the entire Science Alliance, and it was also inlaid with the secret bones of two of the weakest beings. In addition, other top geniuses have also made breakthroughs and promotions. I decided to retreat again, with the help of the flesh and divine essence of the weakest being in the northwest Kindling Mountains next time, to see if it can make me take another step back. Deng Shunbai stood up, first nodded to the powerful people, and then said faintly, "You support the Alliance Wolf Pack. Humanity has just gathered its fortunes, and still needs time to develop. Zio Office lowest command is to be demonized, so to carve out a bright and prosperous world for mankind, is it to buy you some development time in the cracks? Therefore, the top priority now is to completely clear and capture the blessed land in your territory, not to lead the army northward. This is the weakest existence in the world that has defeated the speedy golden eagle, and it is also the weakest speed type existence. It is an existence that humans will definitely provoke. The vast majority of people rely on the group talent of masking their aura, and they disappear like cattle into the sea without leaving a trace. No one knows where these more than 200,000 people have gone. Even the leaders of the Science Alliance and the Long State wanted to hear the opinions of Love State at that time. That's in keeping with the wolf pack style. Human beings in the Long Kingdom have also obtained the destiny stone of the ethnic group, and are convening the whole country to gather destiny. As for those whose traces were captured, they all stayed where they were and acted as spies for the advanced troops that fight for hegemony in the western part of Zioafu. Do you think you should also go back? Since the lowest commander of Zioafu wants to go crazy, how can you add fuel to the flames and let the ethnic groups and forces around the world recognize human beings again? Among them, Xiao Xiao are the weaklings of the new human race, who still retain the idea of respecting human beings. In the face of such petty disputes, even though Love State has great prestige, there is still no group of weak new humans to stand up and refute, especially the nearest human and scientific alliance of China. Just like the battlefield in Mongolia, once humans really block the pace of the wolves, they will witness the ruthlessness of the wolves. The image of the more than 7 million small army of the Beizu Senluo ethnic group, the more than 80,000 divine servants of the Theological Alliance, and the more than 400,000 elite humans dispatched by the Arctic wolves are all presented in that picture. The voice of the main war faction was too calm, which led to the final decision to lead the army north. Therefore, Love State, which has reached the pinnacle of both hard and soft power, has long since become an idol and benchmark for the weak in the new human race. We also need to test how powerful the newly developed armor-piercing projectiles are on a real battlefield. After such a speech, he finally stopped when several old men stood up hurriedly. At the same time, we are also discussing, what if we want to lead the army north? We looked at each other, expressing our disapproval of what the weak new humans had just said. At the same time, it is also necessary to find out the detailed combat strength data of various evil groups such as the Theological Alliance, Senluo Group, and Wolf Pack. The wolves only send more than 400,000 humans, if they have no other plans. However, the wolves border your long country and must form an alliance. Otherwise, once a war breaks out, it will be difficult for you humans to develop. Everything, I'm afraid, will be destroyed in one day. Not to mention the weakest existence. Even the more than 700,000 people sent by Deng Shun had group hidden talents, and those crude detection equipment could detect them. After discussing calmly for several hours, the meeting gradually came to an end. That young man was someone else, none other than Deng Shunbai, the weakest human being in the world. At present, the Long State and the Science Alliance have not yet formed a joint meeting, and are discussing the situation in the western part of Xiaolui. A group of low-level officials from the Long Country and the Science Alliance watched the blurry video footage for a long time before finally speaking. The low-level officials from the Science Alliance said, the combat capabilities of the members of each ethnic group in those videos have not been analyzed by a professional team. There is a doubt that those who participated in the war were elites from the Senluo ethnic group and the Theological Alliance. However, No one in the wolf pack knew why they only dispatched a mere 400,000 humans. Even if the North African human forces receive help from the dead pharaohs, they are still inferior to those two forces. No one force can guess what strategic goals these more than 200,000 people want to accomplish. Before the words from the lower level of the Science Alliance came to light, everyone present was silent. In that thought, more than 700,000 human elites followed Deng Shun and slowly pushed back towards Ji Deng Shunbai. Because Vincent has always been eccentric. Before Love Joe finished what he said, all the weak new humans had obviously no disappointment flashing in their eyes. Did Deng Shunbai know that many of the more than 1 million human elites would die in battle? Outside is the gathering place of a small blessed land, which is also the closest blessed land to the wolves. On the front line, there were more than 700,000 backbone troops, carrying more than 100 of the weakest armor-piercing bombs, heading straight for Zhejiang Qingfeng, the quietest area on the western battlefield of Xiaoluo. Even by concentrating the top pure energy and allocating it to the geniuses of Long Junior High School, the geniuses of Long Junior High School are slowly improving like a meteor. All the people of the Long Kingdom are soldiers, and coupled with their weak mobilization capabilities, they have not yet created top-notch technological weapons that cannot arm hundreds of millions of humans. In the area around Deng Shunbai, his family was beaten until the sky fell apart. As the situation changes, I know that I have not truly mastered the power of the rules. If I take this most critical step, I may be able to protect the human race. It's just that the weakest existence in that blessed land only left dense lines of rules, and also used its own few sources of divinity to infuse and enhance two world-destroying level mutated creatures. More than 200,000 people were scattered, except for a few captured traces. Humanity's advancement was extremely slow during that period, because before the catastrophe, the weakest beings in the Long Kingdom were less resurrected than in other regions. Very slowly, as Luo Zhou stood up hurriedly, everyone in the conference room focused their attention on me. After all, those old men are all powerful people in the Science Alliance and Long Country. Except for El Shari, all the other weak new humans also spoke out and agreed to show the wolves as allies. After being anxious for a long time, an old man from the Long Kingdom hurriedly said, "Maybe the wolves have no other plans. Or maybe they feel that the bargaining chip given by Xiao, who is lowest command, is worth it. A group of elites is dispatched, but you think the wolves' goodwill towards humans is unquestionable. As long as it interferes with the wolves can always be regarded as allies. Without such a dominant group as an ally, it will not be conducive to the development of you humans. That ethnic group that has always stood at the top has left all human forces guessing. When they captured the blessed land of the northwest Qinling Mountains, Luofu Prefecture also made great contributions. In the first place, I personally killed 2 of the weakest beings who were seriously injured and dying. In that battle, it's only me who has personally fought against seriously injured, dying, and weak beings that I can deeply understand how terrifying this supreme and weak being is after all. Without 2 world-destroying mutated creatures standing guard, coupled with the steep terrain and regular lines of Zhejiang Qingshan, although they were at a slight advantage, they were still supporting them. Each team is composed of a 100-man team and carries a large number of technological weapons. Before the meeting ended, Luozu, who was not yet filled with the power of rules, also rose into the sky, standing in the wind and looking in the direction of the west of Xiaolui in midair. I dare to go to the west of Xiaofu, but I am definitely not afraid of fighting. At this time, in a newly reinforced weakest fortress, more than 80 representatives of the Long Kingdom and more than a dozen low-level officials of the Science Alliance were all looking at the pictures under the linked LCD screens. There was no trace of deep color flashing through a pair of clear white eyes. The more than 400,000 human forces are simply enough to see in the current struggle for hegemony in western Xiaofu. Did the wolves really have no plans for the 2 blessed lands in western Xiaofu, so they would send out such a human troop just to show off? It exceeds the previous lowest peak of Mount Everest several times, and the vast fortune contained in it is second only to the snake civilization of India. Before Vincent retreated into the western part of Xiaofu, all the top forces watching the battle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu secretly assessed the strength of all parties and the direction of the battle.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.